All right, all right, all right. All right, man. I'm closing my door, Pop. All right, man. We in this thing. We in this thing. We in this thing. We in this thing. All right. It's a lot going on, man.
Biscuit 40, bro. I'm not no bitch. You're a biscuit 40, bro. Don't jack this blush you a dog, bro.
What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal? We got some things going on, man. We got some things going on, man. We got some things going on. Spin again. They know I'm bouncing out with chopping. Man, what's the word, Flock Mill? 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 What's the wordington on the curbington? Flock Mill, what's the deal? Nah, be on his way, Mo P. I'm clickbaiting like a motherfucker. And really, Mo P, why it's nobody in here but us, I got that nigga Chill from 16 to Life coming in. So I'm finna interview bro first, and then we finna talk about Wack. But we finna talk about the issues going on with Black and Browns. So that nigga Chill from 16 to Life, the nigga that did 22 years in the California Department of Corrections and all that kind of stuff, Keith, what's the deal? So we really finna highlight bro first. So this is really all to get niggas in here to hear what he got to say, because what he got to say is actually super important to the Black community. But you know how niggas are. You feel me? So I gotta give a nigga something to get something from niggas. You feel me? We gonna get into that, but we gonna talk to that nigga Chill first. You feel me? Oh, Roger, you mad? You don't like it here? It's cool. Now you're banned. Now you don't have to worry about it. Now you can leave and not come back. Damn, Roger, that quick. Damn, Roger, you're upset? You don't like it here? Cool. There go the door. There go the door. Easy. Easy. Anybody else mad? Anybody else feel away like Roger? Oh, all right. Oh, all right. Because if you feel away like Roger, then you know that's that. You feel me? Man, nah, man. We finna talk about some racial politics. We're gonna talk about some ODM Slim and some Crip Mac. We're gonna talk about some Rat and Hunter. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot to go. We got a lot going on. We got a lot going on. We got a lot going on. Shout out to everybody in the room except Roger. We love everybody for being here, with the exception of Roger. We don't like Roger. We don't like Roger. It's nothing for Roger. 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 J Dabs, don't ask stupid questions. Just watch the content. Don't come in here asking no questions. You can go sit with Roger. You can go sit. Jay and Roger, y'all can sit together, go hold hands. Don't ask me no questions. Watch the content. Watch the content. You niggas waited 6 months to see who shot Mr. Burns and be in this motherfucker tripping. Niggas waited 6 months to see who shot Mr. Burns and be in this motherfucker tripping. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that. Oh, I'm mad and I'm complaining. Get your bitch ass on my fucking chat. Get your bitch ass out my fucking chat, my nigga. Don't nobody care about that shit. All these grown ass men complaining like bitches in the fucking chat. Shut the fuck up, you fucking e ass nigga. Shut the fuck up. Don't nobody want to hear that bitch ass shit. And I can't wait till I go on FMW or community or whatever. I got something for they motherfucking fans, and I got something for them. I'm gonna make it extra uncomfortable. I'm gonna make it extra uncomfortable. Don't troll me. You're gonna end up embarrassing yourself and the podcast you support. You're gonna end up embarrassing yourself and the pod. Don't troll me, big dog. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't troll me. Leave me the fuck alone. Mind your business. Don't come around here bothering me unless you want to come around this motherfucker bothering something. And if that's the case, go ahead and shake something, my nigga. We can go from there. You feel me? If that's the case, go ahead and shake something and we can go from there, my nigga. That's the easiest call. The easiest call. The easiest call. All right. All right. All right. All right. We ready whenever you are, OG. All right, man. So maybe we should start here. Hold on. Let me send this over real quick so y'all can kind of get an idea what I'm talking about. All right. Well, this how everybody feeling? How everybody feeling? How everybody feeling? All right, boom. We got Odium Slim and Crip Mac. We got Odium Slimington and Crip Mackington. Odium Slim and Crip Mac. It's interesting. Interesting. Not my favorite beef. Not my favorite beef. Not my favorite beef. Not my favorite beef. Y'all want to get into this? Y'all want to get into the Odium Slim and his Crip Mac? It's Odium Slim and his Crip Mac fiasco. It's Odium Slim and Crip Mac fiasco. No Lupe.
Okay, I'm about to hit the link now.
All right, I'm about to send this to. Let me send this link to Chill. His email. Hold on. Crip Mac was living in a tent in Skid Row. Damn, that's too. Wait, 16 life. That's too young to be living in a tent. That nigga Chill just hit me. He ready. So we got a lot going on. 16 the life music at Gmail. I didn't know that nigga was living in a tent. I had no idea. That's news to me. Shit. That nigga Chill just hit me. Say he ready. So all right, man. So I'll give a quick on Crip Mag before we get deep into it. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, that could be why he's so adamant about helping the homeless for sure. That could for sure be the reason why. I didn't know that he went through that homelessness, sleeping in a tent, and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that. I know that he was homeless, but I didn't know that he was outside in a tent on Skid Row, and that's where you know. Hey, you know who's a bitch? Rockstar. Rockstar is a bitch ass nigga, bro. Like Rockstar is overall a bitch ass nigga. Like I don't know if y'all know about the Rockstar 2800 nigga, and go get that nigga. I'll beat the fuck out of Rockstar. That nigga's a bitch. Like it's a lot of bitch in that nigga. Like I watched that nigga handle so many situations the wrong way, and he just go against his community so many different types of ways. That nigga Rockstar is probably one of the most bitch ass niggas in our universe. And I'm gonna say Rockstar is probably a bigger bitch than Wack because Wack be marking that nigga out. And the niggas who Rockstar aligns himself with, you could tell that nigga's just looking for fucking acceptance, bro. Excuse me while I rant for a second. Man, Rockstar 2800, boy, you the most sit down to piss bleed once a month, ovaries, XY chromosome having ass. Wait, hold on. What do women got? XY or XX chromosomes? Let me find out real quick. Cause you a chromosome, bro. You a chromosome, my nigga. On God, you a chromosome. Hold on. Do men have XY or XX chromosomes? Do men have XY or XX chromosomes? Are you there?
Yep, I'm right here. What's on your mind?
Do men have XY or XX chromosomes?
Men typically have XY chromosomes, while women typically have XX chromosomes. There are some variations, but that's the general rule.
That nigga Rockstar got XX chromosomes. Two X's. Two X's who can't get it together. Two X's who can't get it together. XX. When I say Rockstar is one of the most made dudes in our man, bro. The niggas who he and y'all wonder why you on Rockstar? Why you on Rockstar? I'm about to tell you why I'm on Rockstar. I'm about to tell y'all why I'm on Rockstar. I'm about to tell y'all why I'm on Rockstar. Hold on. I'm about to tell y'all right now. Y'all finna see for yourself. What's the deal, y'all? Rich Rapper tapping in. TNN Trap News Network. Back in the same, like cook, cracking this thing. Tap in with the tap in. You feel me? You feel me? We finna jump into this Kantiana. Uh-oh. Hold on, man. We got Chill from 16 to Life in. Hold on. Hold on. We don't see you. Hold on. Hey, OG, did it say it got you backstage? Let me see. We gonna get back into Rockstar, man, because I gotta fuck this nigga Chill. Hold on. Hold on, because we got to get this. We got a guest today, y'all. It's a lot that I want to go over. We got a guest today, so I want to make sure our guest gets up on the stage. Shout out to Chill for 16 to Life. From 16 to Life, I for sure want to talk about Rockstar being a bitch. I for sure want to talk about Rockstar being a bitch. I for sure want to talk about Rockstar being a bitch. I for sure want to talk about that. Let's be hospitable to our guests first, and then we're gonna get into our bullshit in our universe. You feel me? We're gonna get some professionalism going on. 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 We're gonna get some professional going on. Oh, it did. Appreciate it, giving life. Appreciate it. Nah, man. Somebody had crashed a fucking car into one of the power grids over here, so the power went out. So I wasn't sure how that fucked up the rendering, but it is what it is. 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 Hold on. Yeah, car have, ran into the server or to the shit. You feel me? I don't see Chill. Hold on. My bad. My bad, OG. I sent you another link into your email. Okay. Yeah, my bad. All right. So look, man, while we waiting on OG Chill, we actually can go into this. I'm gonna go into this until Chill come in, and then we'll change. But can I get my ish off real quick? 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 Rich Trapper tapping in, TNN Trap News Network. Good news you can use. Good knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, big dog. Tap in with that tap in. If you ain't tapped in with that tap in, notification bell hit all say tapped in for the latest and the greatest. Everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. Yes, that's TNN Trap News Network. It's that good news you can use. It's that good knowledge that you ain't finna get nobody's college, big dog. Tap in with that tap in. If you ain't tapped in with that good tap in. You feel me? If you're trying to be a part of this Rich Trapper Mafia, trying to be a part of this Rich Trapper family, hit me on Instagram, TRAPNEWS. NETWORX Trap News Network. Big shout out to Young and Hefe. We finna slide over here. ODM Slim. Y'all be ready for ODM Slim to talk about this for the next week and a half. He gonna talk about this all week. So y'all show some love to ODM Slim. He finna be on Crip Mac all week. Y'all get ready for it, bro. Y'all get ready for it. Remember I said it. Y'all remember I said it. This nigga's finna be on that shit for a minute. You know what I'm saying? But go run your chili up, bro. Go run your chili up. Why is Rockstar a hoe? Rockstar is a hoe for a lot of reasons. I can't tell you why. I could just tell you how. I can't tell you why Rockstar is a hoe. I can't tell you why Rockstar 2800 is a sit down uriner. You feel me? I don't know. I can't comment on that. But this is what I can show you. Simple things. Simple things. Simple things like this. Young Barry Gordy's supposed to be one of your homies. Young Barry Gordy's supposed to be one of your homies. So even to put something like this up, you weird, bro. You're weird. Especially because you be talking so bad about this nigga. It's ridiculous. You be talking about this nigga like he SHIT on the bottom of your shoe, and this supposed to be one of your homies. Doing this type of stuff is why you can't come around, bro. This is why you can't get marathon burgers and things like that, because you are a dork. You are a dork, bro. Like, you ain't learn? You ain't learn? You ain't learn when they told you to get cracking and come back? You still ain't got cracking. You still continue to do the same flu, flammery, skullduggery, and larceny. You've literally learned nothing, bro. Your homie, somebody who you talk bad about like SHIT on the bottom of your shoe, and then you use your homie as clickbait. That's why Sam pressed you. Because you're an idiot and you don't stand on nothing. It's in your genes. You your mama's son. You your mama's son. XX chromosomes, bro. Rockstar got XX chromosomes, bro. Rockstar is a true definition of a fucking buster. Of a buster. And it's crazy because dudes from his section be so solid. They be so solid, bro. They be so solid. And this ninja right here just continues to not only embarrass himself, but our whole community. Hold on.
I was just in there. You wanted me to tap into the second link that you sent, right?
Yeah. My bad. That's our guest, OG Chill. Shout out to 16 to life. We're gonna get to that next. But I don't know what kind of dirt Rockstar got, what kind of dirt Wack got on that boy. I have no idea. I don't know what Rockstar's thought process is. I don't know what Rockstar be thinking. I don't know what Rockstar be doing. But what I do know is this. Rockstar is officially a cancer to what we have going on. Rockstar is officially a cancer to what we have going on. In the same way that the streets can shun Rockstar and all that kind of stuff, that needs to be an example of how to shun pathetic fatso. But that ain't what we're here to talk about right now. Y'all give me 1 second. I'm grabbing something for the kids. That ain't what we're here to talk about right now. That ain't what we're here to talk about right now. What we're here to talk about right now is Rockstar stupidity and how that idiot is going to put himself in a situation to where he's never going to be able to come outside again. Because you continue to play on social media, you continue to play on Instagram, you continue to play on Clubhouse, and it's like, bro, boys. If you can't hear me, that means that door should be closed. If you can't hear me, that means that the door should be closed. Yeah. If you can't hear me, that means the door should be open, bro. So I'm not even finna sit here and say that Rockstar need to put off. That's between him and his homies. Like this is Clubhouse or Instagram or YouTube. So I'm not finna say you need to put off. That ain't how this gonna rock. That ain't how this gonna go. Who cares about a Clubhouse put off or Instagram put off and all that? Despite the fact that Instagram and Clubhouse is what keeps getting you in trouble with your peers, with your community, with your homies, with your friends. Clubhouse keeps getting you in trouble. Rockstar 2800, smut free TV. And how is it smut free TV when we all watch you? Literally, we all watch smut on you. We literally all watch smut on you. How is it smut free TV and we all watch the smut on you? Look, Rockstar. This is what you famous for. This is what you famous for.
All right, can you hear me?
We got OG Chill in the building. Chill, give me 5 minutes to wrap up this video. We're going to get into the interview.
Okay, most definitely. Rico, you coming right here, nigga. Look, I'm about bro. The nigga got me. Show me though, nigga. I don't know. Demonstration. You talking to small niggas disrespectful. Did you get cracked? Did you get cracked? Did you get cracked? My niggas get cracked. That's what I'm doing. Don't listen, bro. Don't get all and be cool with me.
Rockstar.
What's the issue?
I don't know.
Let's clear it out. This is a family affair.
Hold that way, hold on. It ain't supporting me. Get cracking for both, nigga.
Let's take a walk, man.
That's our thing, bro. I know. All right, so we're going to holler. Let's just get to that. Let's get to that, bro. Bro, we all tripping on that, bro. We don't come with that. You know that, bro. We tripping on that.
Hey, listen, bro. Listen, bro. Listen, bro. Listen. If the nigga ain't demonstrating for hustle, this is what I'm telling you. Don't come over here. Don't come over here trying to hey, guess what? Go do something and come back. Don't get cracking and come back. That's what I said, bro. Listen, it ain't hollering at me. A nigga disrespect, bro. You do what you supposed to.
Who disrespect bro to me? Don't nobody disrespect bro.
Any nigga that disrespect, bro, when you in their presence, you better smack.
In their presence, ain't nobody disrespected bro in my prison.
I'm talking on the internet. When you see it,
that internet shit is weak, bro.
when you see it,
you
get
know
cracked.
when my order.
When you see it, get cracked. I can't tell.
You know what's happening.
I can't tell, nigga.
You know what's happening.
I can't tell.
having a black sand.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
Never having a black sand.
You ain't with you, bro. You ain't with us.
Never having a black sand. You say you gotta go, bro. You got to. Come on. You gotta go, bro. I got you, DA. You gotta go, bro. Come on. Hey, Black Sam, say you gotta go, bro.
And that's where we're going to go ahead and end that real quick. No, and that's the problem that we have. Being from this Crenshaw district, being from South Central, being from that area, that's the problem we all have with Rockstar. We can't tell, bro. Your loyalties, your standpoints, what you got going on, don't distribute what you're supposed to distribute and don't communicate what you're supposed to communicate, bro. So with that being said, Rockstar, you got to do better, bro. You got to do a whole lot better. And going against your homies is not how you're going to do better, especially going against your homies for the internet. Y'all know the deal, though. It's red dots to the left. Y'all know the rest. And it's free Avenue Angel until he's free. We gone. Chat, man. I am excited. So look, I'm going to get back into that bullshit. But we got to get into some professionalism real quick. We got my man Chill in the building. For those of y'all who don't know, Chill, can we let's get a mic check real quick.
Check. What's going on, Rich Trapper?
Bet, man. Look, hold on, because I got to give you the right intro. I got to make sure this hit right. For those of y'all who don't know, man, we don't got a regular guest today. I'm going to let him give himself a better introduction. But before he does, I need y'all to all. He'll be back. I need y'all to all show some love by hitting his page, 16 to life. You know what I'm saying? He'll be back. It's my man 16 to life. There you go. All right, Chill, we got you. Let me see. Hold on. Chill, we can't hear you. Let me see.
All right. No, I had to unmute the mic.
Okay, cool. So look, y'all, we got my man Chill, 16 to life. If y'all ain't did so, please make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to my brother's page. As y'all can see, I thoroughly look at all these videos I be watching, man. Look, they all red. I be watching all your stuff.
Hey, I appreciate it, homie. Real talk. Hey, look, Rich Trapper, let me ask you a question before we get deep into the interview, right? Somehow in the last couple of months, man, I didn't got this wholesome image, Bill Cosby type, this Bill Cosby type image, man. And I came into my YouTube clowning and talking stuff. So which type of chill do you want? Do you want the professional chill, or can I cuss a little bit or whatever? I mean, what's best for what you're doing, man? Which one do you want?
We need 184-yard chills who be politicking with chances.
Okay, real talk. We there. Don't even trip.
We need that one. We need you talking to OG chances.
Yeah, don't even trip. We there.
Man, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it, man. Chill, please give us an introduction. Let us what they want to know, not only who you are, tell us about your prison experience and what brought you into this point before we jump into the interview.
Excuse me, what brought me into what?
What brought you to this point from you doing your years in the penitentiary that led us to right here before we actually jump into the topic?
Okay, most definitely, man. So real quick, y'all, my nickname is Chill. I go by the my YouTube channel was 16 to Life. So when I started doing YouTube, of course, the name Chill was, well, damn, man, my phone is about to die, and I was too lazy to hook my computer up. Maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I'll go get my cord real quick. But anyway, so give me one. Let me go get my cord real fast.
Nah, man, we're gonna let OG get himself settled, let OG get himself situated and all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, between time, so I can give y'all a quick little idea of what we got going on. We're gonna be talking about the politics going on in LA between the blacks and the browns. You feel me? It's a lot of things going on in our sector right now. The Black and Mexican War, California prisons. You feel me? So because myself personally, you know what I'm saying, I was a better criminal than a lot of my homies. I ain't in a penitentiary. I was able to skate and wiggle. You feel me? But I brought an expert up so he can give us the 1-2 steps of what's going on, man. For those of y'all who ain't been watching what's going on, Tory Lanez was recently stabbed up in the California Department of Corrections by a Mexican. Now they'll say that, oh, he's on a PC yard. It don't matter because it is and that. I'm old school. I was always taught that shouldn't nobody put their hands on a black but another black, but we'll get back into that. Right now, we're going to let Chill kind of give y'all his introduction. You ready, OG?
Yeah, I think I finally got it. Man, hey, what if I turn this sideways? That's not going to be no good, huh?
Nope. Now you sideways with it.
Yeah, I might just have.
I think Chill might be having technical difficulties. Yeah, I think Chill is having some technical difficulties, a little bit of technical difficulties. Let me see. Hold on. Chill probably end up coming back. All right, man. So real quick. While Chill's getting himself together, while Chill is getting himself together, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things going on in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things going on. I guess he'll rejoin. A lot of things going on in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, man. A lot of things going on with Tory Lanez getting stabbed. So we brought Chill on because Chill's walked the 4-yard. He's been in the 180s. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the prison riots and all that kind of stuff. He's from Banning, California, out there in the Inland Empire. He is an OG Crip from Banning, California. I don't want to give him too much of an intro because I want him kind of be able to do his own thing and all that kind of stuff. I ain't trying to step too much on his intro. But in the meantime, between time, you know what I'm saying? I think that it's important that you guys understand his thought process and his logic going into this conversation because he's not speaking from a lot of dudes on YouTube talk about what they think or what they heard. Myself too. I'm a thinker herder. You feel me? I'm always telling y'all what I think. I'm always telling y'all what I heard. You feel me? But he ain't finna tell y'all what he think or what he heard. He finna tell y'all what he know. And it's a very rare occasion that we're actually able to get into these situations. We're able to hear from firsthand experiences of people who walk these prison yards without them putting a whole bunch of dubs on a Pinto. You feel me? He said his phone was dying, so I'm assuming that's probably what happened and all that. Look, man, y'all show Chill some love, man. He an OG, man. He a little bit up there. We're gonna make sure that he get right with his tech. You feel me? We're gonna make sure that he get right with his tech. We're gonna make sure that he get right with his tech. But talking about it, when he comes back, we'll kind of go more into it. But I was always taught that Mexicans under no circumstances shouldn't be putting their hands on blacks. Period, point blank. And I was always taught that we don't go for that. You feel me? I was always taught that we don't go for that. Now, it's a lot of people in our YouTube space and our content space that don't act like they don't see this direct racism, that don't act like they don't see these direct problems. And it is a lot of the Hispanic and the Mexican podcasters. You feel me? It is a lot of the Hispanic and Mexican podcasters who will pretend like, oh, well, no, it's not a racial thing, but it's a huge amount of racism within this California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, and it's a whole bunch of racism between Mexicans and blacks on the streets. And until we address this, in my opinion, you can't fix a problem until you address a problem. You feel me? You can't fix a problem until you address a problem. So the more you act like the problem doesn't exist, the more you act like, oh no, well it's just this. Oh well, no, it's just that. Well, what about this? What about that? It's going to continue to be a problem. It's going to continue to be an issue. It's going to continue to be something that is not supposed to be, and that's just a fact. As Black people, I'm not gonna sit here and be all super Black power and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we gotta stand together and all this and all that. But I mean, this is obvious. But in public, yeah, we should do a better job of standing in solidarity the same way the Mexicans do. I'm not finna go crazy like Mr. Viral. I kind of leave him to do that, but I got nothing but love for Mr. Viral for the Viral Way podcast. But if we call him spades, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. Bullets to bodies. You got one more time to come into this motherfucking room and start adjusting conversations. You stupid ass bitch. Like you don't see what the fuck we talking about. And I'm gonna put you out my shit. Or are you gonna shut the fuck up and watch the content? Nigga, you see what's on the fucking screen? Is that what the fuck we talking about? Is it what we talking about, my nigga? Or are we talking about something else? Are we talking about something totally fucking different that matters? And then your bitch ass coming here talking about Wack. We not talking about that, my nigga. Follow the fucking room. Read the fucking room. I don't like when you hoe ass niggas come into this motherfucker asking questions that don't pertain to the fucking subject that we on. Read the fucking room. And if you say, oh, well, the title said, bitch, didn't nobody tell you to think. Come in here and read the fucking room. And since you can read so fucking well to where you can read the title, that means that you can read them fucking rules and them guidelines that I put at the top of this shit. Oh, bullets to bodies? Nigga. Fuck out of here, nigga. But you don't know body catching ass. Nigga, you a nobody with no bodies. Nigga, you ain't got no bodies on you. Nigga, you ain't fucking Dr. Miami. Get the fuck out of here. Bullets to bodies. You feel me? Get the fuck out of here. Whenever you're ready, OG, we're still here. The fuck? What? It's more racism between black and Sureños in the pen. On God. And then the Mexicans will act like there's no racism towards the blacks. Like, let's be 100% transparent about this. Like, let's be 100% transparent about this shit. The Mexicans will sit there and act like there is no actual racism towards the Mexicans and the blacks. They'll be like, oh, well, no, we don't be tripping. No, you niggas only be tripping. You niggas only be tripping. And then they'll be like, oh, well, it's not everybody. But here goes the thing. If you're not a part of, I think Chill is back. Let me see. Hold on. I think Chill just came back. Yep, he just came back. Give me 2 seconds, OG.
Okay, my apologies, homie.
Oh, no, man. Look, man, we out here in this tech world. You feel me? And then look, if y'all ain't did so, please, like I've been saying, man, make sure y'all show OG some love. Chill, 16 to life. He tells amazing stories. He tried to stay out of our bullshit, our drama, and our messiness. You feel me? He a responsible adult. But he tried to stay out of our bullshit, our drama, and our messiness. But every now and again, if something goes on in LA and it's big enough, he gonna tap in with it. You feel me? Like, for example, like we were talking about the Tory Lanez situation. Every now and again, and trust me, when I say I'm an avid watcher, my kids know the theme song. You feel me? 90% of dudes rapping, my kids know the theme song. We are avid watchers in my household at 16 to life because I approve of the message, especially for my children to hear. They need to know about what's going on in these streets, man. And it's a positive message from a black man. But he don't get involved in too much bullshit. He don't. Oh no, OG, I listen to your shit in the car with the kids.
Hey, I appreciate it. Real talk.
Hey, but you know what though? It's us being black men, and you being older, and you know, I before we get into this on a personal note, when we sliding around and we see the gray goose, I tell my kids, "Hey, what's that?" They be like, "Oh, it's the jail bus." I'm like, "What's on there?" A bunch of niggas that lost. If you ever end your ass up on that bus, what am I gonna do to you? You're gonna probably end up beating my ass. Okay, cool. As long as we understand each other. As long as we all understand each other. Because I can't do nothing for you once they put you on that bus, but I can wear your ass out when you get off of it.
Most definitely, man.
All right, man. So Chill, we are officially in here. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, Rich Trapper tapping in, TNN Trap News Network, back in this thing, light cook, cracking this thing with a beautiful Sunday, a beautiful message, and we got a great day coming ahead of us, man. We got a guest today, Chill from 16 to Life. OG is in the building. We're gonna allow him to kind of take over the floor today, as I will be co-pilot. We throwing the keys to OG, man. He gonna drive this plane today, man. And I'm outside with the I'm hanging out the window with that thing on us. Don't worry about it, keeping it safe. Today we will be discussing the issues between blacks and browns, not only in the California Departments and Corrections and Rehabilitations, down to the county jails, down to the streets, man. Chill, what's up with you, brother? How you feeling, man?
Oh man, I'm doing good, homie. And first and foremost, I appreciate your message and thank you for having me. And sorry about little technical difficulties, so on and so forth, man. But so like I was saying earlier, um, I was locked up. I did 24 years straight. I had a life sentence. I was sentenced to 16 years plus life initially. So I had 3 attempted murders. I took that to trial. Well, let me slow down. So I had 3 attempted murders. I got arrested for 3 attempted murders. Maybe about 4 or 5 months in to my arrest, they charged me with another murder. And so now I got 3 attempted murders and a trailing murder. I end up going to trial on the 3 attempted murders. I was found guilty of great bodily injury and premeditated attempted murder. So I got 9 years plus life, not 9 years to life, but 9 years plus life, meaning that I had to do the 9 years first. Then after that, I would have to do the life sentence, which was back then 7 years. You had to bring 7 years on a straight life, and then you was eligible for parole. Now, keep in mind, I still have the trailing murder case. So I ended up taking the deal. They dropped the murder down to voluntary manslaughter. And what the DA was willing to do, he ran the 16 and the 9 together, but he ran it consecutive to the life sentence, which meaning basically instead of 9 plus life, I now had 16 plus life. So I had to do half of the 16, and then I would start on my life sentence. And so eventually I done 24 years. When I first went in, if you had life with the possibility of parole, you might as well have had life without the possibility of parole, because the way the board was set up, they were systematically denying any lifer pretty much that went to the board if you happen to go to the board for a murder. I think maybe in the first maybe 15, 16 years that I was in, maybe 7 or 8 people got released, out of thousands of lifers. So of course, that put a lot of individuals in the mindset of, fuck it, I'm in prison, I'm gonna rock out, it is what it is, I'm in these violent prisons. And of course, a lot of motherfuckers is gonna lose hope under those circumstances, because in order to get out of prison, you got to survive first. You got to, leaving prison in a box ain't gonna help nobody. So a lot of people went balls in on, on the gang shit, drugs and whatever it was, And so eventually, by the grace of God, man, the parole board, all that stuff got kind of like changed around and fixed, like maybe starting 2008, 2009, So now I'm starting to see these lifers who have been down 25, 30 years. Some of these lifers have even caught murders while being locked up in prison. Now these dudes are starting to go home. So, of course, I said, man, I need to get my shit together and start trying to go home my goddamn self. But it's crazy in that environment where you see dudes going home, you see dudes who've been locked up for years and years, and everybody is still not getting it together. You had some lifers in there still messing with cell phones, still messing with the drugs. I remember this one particular dude by the name of Pup. I guess he had 2 crimies, and they had been down 30 plus years. His crimies had went home about 6 or 7 years ago. He went to the parole board. They told him, hey man, bring us 3 years clean without no write-ups, so on and so forth. We're gonna let you go. The man come back to the yard about 2 weeks later. He gets caught making Pruno, which is jailhouse wine. So everybody don't get it for whatever reason, but for me, I said, man, shit, I'm trying to get up out of here. And so I also happen to rap, man. And so I know the name Chill is already taken by a couple of dudes. So initially I was going to go with, I think I was going to call myself G Code or some shit like that. Then I got out, I looked up a couple of dudes that had it. So I just went with 16 to life. So I came to YouTube really accidentally. So like I said, I created my page to do some raps and stuff on there. So around COVID, I got out in 2018. So when COVID hit, the producer, the studio that I was going to, this dude, he was like, oh man, COVID's not real and all this old type of shit. About 2 or 3 weeks after we had that conversation, his ass was sitting up in the hospital on his deathbed damn near. He stayed in hospital for about a month. And so when he does that, around that time, I got about 200 subscribers. So my initial goal was only to get to 400 subscribers. So I tell myself, okay, what can I do to keep some traffic slide through my page until this dude get out of COVID or whatever. So by that time I'd probably been out maybe about a year, and I'm noticing how every time I tell a person, when I go to the DMV or whatever, because people got to keep in mind, man, I went to jail in 1994. There was no YouTube. There was none of this shit. You know, I had a cell phone, but it was the brick. You know, the cell phone didn't have no social media capabilities. It was
You was
only
playing
used
Snake and Tetris on that motherfucker, huh?
that one, and I had the one that you plug into the lighter. It was in a little bag, and you plug into the lighter. So the only thing, you know, only purpose that thing was good for was calling, and then your bill gonna be shit. Your bill liable to be $1,400-$1,500. You know, you trying to floss on that motherfucker back then. You know, your bill gonna be high as a motherfucker. So
Man.
when I get out, all this shit is foreign to me, man. All this, you know, these cell phone. Well, we had some cell phones up in prison, but all this technology and all this stuff is foreign to me, man. I'm walking through Walmart, motherfuckers is talking on their Bluetooth every time they talking. I'm turning around thinking they talking to me and all this old type of shit. So, long story short, excuse me. Long story short, excuse me. Long story short, I started telling prison stories because I noticed when I would go to the DMV or something, and I would tell the person, hey, man, I don't know nothing about nothing, man. You know, they would be intrigued by the fact that I had been in jail for 24 years. And so I started telling prison stories with the hopes of just creating a little traffic on my page, man. And maybe after about a month of telling prison stories, I looked up one day, and one of the stories that I had told had about 7,000 or 8,000 views, and I thought it was the story from the day before, you know, but I still couldn't believe it. But now, as I'm looking at it and, you know, checking on it every 10-15 minutes, the number is going higher and higher. Then I realized, damn, this is the story that I told today. And ever since then, you know, I just happen to be blessed, man. And you know, my page has took off and done a little better. And you know, I mean, honestly, myself, I was surprised. I think nobody, man, and I think Rich Trapper can kind of agree to this. When we start doing YouTube, we really have no idea and really have no idea of how successful our pages can get. So once it does get a little successful, and you know, it's a bit humbling, though. I've seen a lot of motherfuckers get arrogant, man. A lot of these niggas get 10,000 views and they get beside themselves, man. You know, it is what it is, man. This shit ain't, you know, only thing this shit has did has gave motherfuckers more access to go upside my head if they want to do something to me. I mean, the money is all right, but I mean, it's not, you know, I mean, you have some YouTubers making life-changing money, but the little bread I'm getting from this shit, I ain't got to go to work, but still in all, it's not all that. So, you know, I mean, basically, man, for you arrogant YouTubers, stay in your place, man. This shit, it is what it is.
And you know what? I want to say this too before we jump into the subjects. A lot of people think that, oh man, you making so much. I be trying to tell them like 1,000 views on YouTube is only like $10. You got to have a gang of videos going at once to accumulate. But 1,000 on one video ain't finna pay you, bro. You got to really have a lot of volume in these YouTube streets, video on top of video on top of video. If you really want, so like you said, not even life changing money, just money to get you from A to B.
And it you know, I think it all depends on your RPM, because mine is a little different. Like on 1,000 views, I'll get anywhere from about $150 to maybe $200. So it just depends on your RPM. But I don't necessarily understand what makes that fluctuate. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. I think now initially when you first start out, you have a lower RPM, which is, I think it's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a French word, but it's a Latin word for rules per mile. And so basically that's how much you get paid for, like he said, 1,000 views. And now it's something called a CPM. I'm gonna give y'all a little YouTube game. The CPM is basically what the company, see, we get paid by the videos that they put on our channel. So let's just say Coattails YouTube, hey man, I'm gonna pay you guys $20 per every 1,000 views that Rich Trapper get. Now, of course, YouTube, they gonna take their cut and they say, okay, we gonna take our cut and we gonna give Rich Trapper $12 for every 1,000 views. So then, of course, simple math, he gets $120 a video. But some people's RPMs are a little higher, some people's RPMs are a little lower. So it just all depends.
Okay. So good game. And then you got to keep in mind too, man. My channel got 25,000. I think my man, Chill, how much you got? You got that plaque yet? I know you close to it if you ain't got it.
No, I got like 70, I think 72,000. But see, a lot of people want to equate subscribers with bread, and that's not always the case. You know, my first YouTube check was $4,000. My first YouTube check was maybe about $80-$90 away from $4,000. So you don't have to have a lot of subscribers to get to get bread. You just have to have the views. And so I had no idea YouTube was even paying like that. I remember I got a homie named David Williams. He told me, hey, chill, man, you keep going and you can get monetized. Now this was when I had about 400 or 500 views. I said, oh man, I ain't never gonna get 1,000 subscribers. I'm not even thinking that I could get to 1,000 subscribers. So I continue telling the stories. And keep in mind, luckily for me, this was right around the time COVID was taking off. It wasn't a whole lot of black YouTubers back then, as far as from California doing prison stories or urban type shit or
You
whatever,
was one
right?
of the
So
first ones.
I happened to just get in at a good time, man. I think it was another brother before me, Dirty Weather 916 from Sacramento. He was doing it, but you know, all my shit that I done, it wasn't planned. It was just some luck, you know, the grace of God or whatever cats want to say, man. It's just everything fell into the right places at the right time, and so I kept telling the prison stories, and I was like at 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. And then I told myself, I said, well, fuck it. You know, I'm on here telling these stories. I might as well get monetized. So of course, I didn't know how to go through that procedure. Just so happened it was a dude who was shooting my videos, this white dude, and he had a YouTube page. So I got at him and he helped me. He helped me and got me only so far. And then the producer who I was talking about, who got sick, he ended up helping me go the rest of the way. So then once I finally get monetized, my money is jumping every day, $200, 200. And back then the system was a little bit different in terms of how it's set up now. You know, every 7 or 8 months they'll renovate the system and do all this and do that. But you know, basically they show you in real time how much money you getting paid. And so, you know, the first day was like 200, the next day just jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping. And so yeah, my first check was like 39 something, almost 4,000. So you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of subscribers in order to get paid. You just have to have the views. You know, you could get monetized 1,000 and say do a story on whatever the latest topic is, and in the event that story happens to go viral, and you know a lot of people view your channel on that particular video, then you're gonna get bread. So it's not necessarily about the subscribers.
So you know what? Since we're talking about what's going on in the world, that brings us to today's topic. What brought us here is Tory Lanez being stabbed by a Mexican in the CDCR. For those of y'all who don't know, Tory Lanez is on a 50-50 yard, and Chill will give more insight. You know what I'm saying? Chill, I love you to death, bro, but I was a better criminal than y'all. I ain't never hit the pen. I got away. But Chill got more insight and got more understanding. To my understanding, a 50-50 yard is you have half general population, you have half protective custody. As far as us being black men, we can go to any yard we want to go to. Can't nobody tell us where we can and where we can't go. The rules for the Mexicans are different. However, to my understanding, the rules are only different for the Mexicans until somebody from high power then comes down to the yard and says, you know what? I actually like it here. Now it's a good yard. Chill. The floor is yours.
And I definitely have seen that before, right? But now I left in 2018 before the 50-50 yards was implemented. They was passing out information that they was going to be starting, but they didn't start until after I left. And so from what I'm hearing from the brothers on the level 4 and stuff like that, even the blacks, if you on a 50-50 yard on a level 2 or level 3 and you come to a level 4 from a 50-50 yard, you will be ran off that yard, you know. So a lot of times, damn, man, my shit just went down. A lot of time, hold on. What the fuck? Oh, I unplugged it. Oh, shit. Give me 1 second. I gotta just plug this up right here.
So y'all, real quick, man, Chill's gonna break down to us exactly what the yard is that Tory Lanez is on. You feel me? And then after breaking down to us exactly what the yard is that Tory Lanez is on, we're gonna get to this actual stabbing. And after we get to the actual stabbing, I want to talk to him about the politics between blacks and browns and the racist aspect before of. Go ahead, Chill. The floor is yours, OG.
Okay, and so a lot of times I realize in doing YouTube, man, there's a lot of false information at times being put out there about the blacks. You know, one thing about the blacks is we are in prison. We're very fractured. Why we don't have enough sense to come together as one, I really don't understand. You know, I mean, I ain't never been a hater, and you gotta give any group, the Southerners, the Northerners, whoever, the whites, even the others, which is normally, you know, made up of the Asians, the Pacific Islanders, stuff like that. You got to give them their props in realizing that prison is about the unity of a race, you know, and so brothers, homie, we're so divided. So a lot of times when a riot jump off, we are fighting on the defense because we're not together and we're not united. And that's something that's extremely detrimental to surviving in prison, winning a riot, so on and so forth, right? So you got to give props to the Southerners and all those other groups who realize the bigger picture, because people, a lot of times people from California don't know that on the streets, the Southerners beef with each other heavy. They go at each other hard and get cracking on each
Just
other
like
heavy. But
Bloods and Crips and
when they come to prison, they have enough sense to realize, okay, we're gonna put the street beefs to the side, right? And so, due to the brothers being a lot of fractured, you have some specific cars and groups and Crips and Bloods who check some paperwork, and you have others who don't. But they try to make it seem like all the blacks don't check paperwork, all the blacks we allow anything, and that's just not the case, man. You have a lot of those dudes on the level 4s who are not letting dudes from the 50-50 yards come to those level 4s. So now with that being said, a 50-50 yard is like Rich Trapper said, man. You have, so at, it turned out at one point in time in the California Department of Correction system, they had so many SNY yards, which is a sensitive needs yard or a PC, pretty much the same thing. There was those yards got so big and so wild, they said, well, fuck it. You know, we just to put everybody back on the main line. There is no need for these 50-50 yard, these protective custody. I mean, there's no need for these SNY and protective custody yards if they're going to have the same violence and the same stuff going on the regular yards. You know, when I first went to prison, when you heard protective custody, you had, you know, people would get the feeling that these dudes who went to these yards was rapists, child molesters, and they was going over there to these yards to kick back, relax, and do their time because they couldn't do time on the main line. At some point, gangs started forming on these SNY yards, which they started calling them later on sensitive needs yards. And so some of those yards got just as hectic or even worse than the main line, because now you still have these gang members. They haven't changed their mentality. They just went on these SNY yards. And so they started forming gangs. And all these dudes you have more dudes on the SNY yard who are not, they're not over there for, you know, they're not, all of them aren't rapists, baby killers, child molesters. A lot of these dudes are just dudes who have run afoul with the structure of their car. You know, some dudes might have drug debts. Some dudes might, you know, ran up a gambling debt. Some dudes maybe was scared to hold a knife. Whatever it is, you know, all these dudes are not child molesters. So I say that to say these dudes still go over there with the same gang type of attitude, characteristics, and lifestyle. So now it's worse because there's less structure. So to my understanding, man, the dude who stabbed Tory Lanez, he had been in a relationship with a 13-year-old girl. You know, I read the paperwork research. He got into an argument with her and he killed her. And so that's why he was on the SNY yard. But now peep this, right? And you know, you can't believe everything you see on YouTube, but a dude commented on one of the videos that I did, and he said that he was on the main line. He said, what was it? I think it was CR 2000. I think 2000. What did he say? 2022 or something. What prison? I forget the prison, but he programmed with the whites, and he said he specifically remembers that dude because he used to do a lot of business with that dude, him and his celly. So, you know, that's just a comment on YouTube. I don't know how true it is. I wasn't able to, you know, the fact check and see if what he was saying was true, but the words that he left in the comments sounded like he at least knew what he was talking about in terms of that prison. But there's always different, you know, different trolls and stuff. But I didn't take his comment as he was trolling. So, but anyway, basically you have gangs on these SNY yards, right? And so I made a video the other day, and I was saying that the blacks need to take back off on the Mexicans, right? And not because they were Mexicans. A lot of times people trip me out. They'll watch these prison YouTube channels and they'll get in their feelings depending on when they hear a story, and due to whatever race they happen to be in, sometimes these people to get offensive, they take sides or whatever. Prison is a whole different element than regular life. You cannot let anybody who is not in your collective attack you, whether they're black, whether they're Mexican, whether they're white, it even if they are the same race, which is why you see so much black on black violence in prison. Anybody that's not in your collective cannot put their hands on your homeboy, and that's what it is. So I'm not saying the blacks should take off on the Mexicans because they're Mexican, because you had a Mexican dude transgress on a black dude, and when you don't start to take off and respond with violence, people get, like my boy Chance to say, they get epiphanies, they get ideas. Now they start feeling that we can push up on this collective and we can do as we please. Regardless of whatever they claim Tory did or didn't do, the proper protocol was to go get at the blacks and say, hey man, this is what happened. Then they would go talk to Tory. They would get both sides of the story, and they would figure out who, if anyone, was wrong. But when you allow individuals to arbitrarily hit the yard and start making decisions, oh, we gonna poke Rich Trapper because we don't like how he walked today. We gonna poke Rich Trapper because we don't like he was taking too long walking to the chow hall. He's slamming his door too loud or whatever, and you don't respond. That's when you start getting pressed upon. Prison is a different beast, man. So I'm saying to dudes, don't get in your feelings about this prison shit, man. Prison is how prison is. And so when you in that environment, you have to live what's best for you in that environment, or you're gonna find yourself being infringed upon often.
So I want to bring this up as well too. You said a lot of good things. First off, I want to take it back a little bit. I always tell people this. You can say somebody's in PC, you can say somebody's in the old man dorm, the psych ward, whatever. He's still in jail. He still did something to get there.
Right.
Regardless of whatever, he still did something to warrant his trip to wherever he's at. So that individual, no matter what they are, should be taken extremely serious, because I'm sure you've seen the most meek individuals jump up and get cracking on what was perceived the most tough individuals.
Man, I told a story like that, man, where it was a dude by the name of Josh, and we was in the peel line, and he was being pressed by some, and I forget the other dude's names, but tough looking white guy. Josh was a non-assuming looking motherfucker. He had glasses on, looking square. The other dude was, white dude, bald head, tattoos all over the place. Basically, Josh had lent this dude some money, and the dude promised he'd get the money back. And Josh is saying, come on, man, you promised me you get that money back. The dude is like, man, fuck you. I don't got it. I'll give it to you when I'll give it to you when I got it, and so on and so forth. And when he fucked around and he called Josh a piece of shit, which is basically, it's like a snitch or a trash word that the whites use, and they take very, it's very offensive to them. Basically, you calling them no good. The boy Josh went bananas and ended up, Psycho, that was the dude's name, ended up beating the shit out of Psycho. So like Rich Trapper is saying, man, being in prison is the wrong place to try to judge a book by its cover, because at the end of the day, violence is what is respected in prison, man. And so, when all else fails and motherfucker don't get your message, you got to go upside that head.
So with that being said, to my understanding, and again, I've never been to anyone's state penitentiary. What I was informed of, I've been to LA County, I've been to Riverside County, Robert Presley, Southwest, Wayside, Towers, all that. What I was told by some dudes when I went to LA County the first time, they was like, if you could do the LA County jail, you could do any penitentiary. If you can maintain, because they, and you from Banning, from Riverside County, and you've been on these yards. I've only heard, and again, I've never been there, but I was always told when the LA County bus pull up to the yard, everybody just be like, here this shit go again. Here these niggas come. Because the LA dudes is always coming with chaos, basically. But it's like you said, it's not because of anything outside of our politics. So when it goes into the blacks retaliating to the situation with Tory Lanez, it could have been the others, it could have been the whites, it could have been whomever. The fact is, if someone attacks your faction, that does presume weakness, because we're in a place where only violence is understood. So with that also being said, to put it to my fan base and to my viewership, the blacks going at the Mexicans in this situation is no different than P4 from BPS jumping out on 4 extras from 40 Crip. It's the same concept. It's the same
pretty
concept.
much.
It's no different than Munchie B having a problem because he's from Inglewood family with the 6 O's. It's no different than the East Coast Crips having an issue with whoever they get. We could go back and forth on black gangs all day. So let's take away the fact that for this part of the conversation, let's take away the fact that, oh, it's because they're Mexican. No, they just happen to be Mexican. If the whites would have did the same thing, they should play ball on the whites the exact same way. So, you know, when we're looking at it, it's and I'm gonna call a spade, uncomfortable moment. From what I'm viewing and from my words and from my perception, it is the Mexican YouTubers who have this public, I'm going to say, safe space and safe way of protecting their people under any circumstances, even if they're as wrong as 2 left feet. What's your opinions on that?
Excuse me. Most of the time, right? Most of the time, man, when that situation was going on with Wack 100 and Blue Devil, I seen a Mexican YouTuber. Then you had some other dudes, you know, stand up to Wack or whatever. A matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Gunner from Gunner's Collective, right? And then you had another dude from down south say, "Hey, man, you know, basically that he appreciated Gunner," and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember what he exactly said, but he said he appreciated Gunner for, you know, standing up to Wack, which is they got into an argument over the phone. And even though he knew Gunner was a dropout, or, you know, or at least Gunner was not welcome among his people, he would ride with him in that sense, then to, you know, let a black disrespect a Mexican. And so, you know, basically he was saying that he would ride with a dude who was no good, you know.
I guess let a black disrespect him.
Right. Over the I can only say it like this, over his hatred for black people, right? That's how it appeared to me. And, you know, that's the sad thing about this situation, man, that, you know, sometimes people want to make this shit about race when it's not about race. Sometimes it's just about 2 individuals who get into it, who happen to be of different races, man. And, you know, I get it, because we all have a strong connection to our people, especially us as minorities, you know, Mexicans and blacks. You know, when you grow up, man, especially us older dudes, you know, when we grew up, you know, you walk into the store, you being watched. I mean, it was just, for a white person, you can't even fathom the type of racism and you know, weekly, sometimes daily bullshit that we go through. So I get it, you know, that causes all minorities to have a
somebody want to say what's up.
How you play Mark, Daddy?
Say what's up, Chill.
What's up, Chill? How you play Mark?
Mario, boy.
All right, how you doing?
Say what's up.
What's up?
That's 16 in life. Remember we listened to him in the car? 90% of dudes rapping ain't as nice as me. Yeah, yeah.
Hi.
Now you being shy? See you later. Go play. You haven't grown up time. Love you, Papa.
Let's go play Mario.
Okay, go make your brothers play with you. My bad. That's a little homie. He don't give. Look, when I say he don't give a fuck about none of this YouTube shit, hey, I got a question. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Chill. Go ahead.
So, you know, I was just saying that, you know, being from a certain generation, born in the 70s, growing up under a certain type of upbringing, I understand, you know, we all have a strong connection and a bond to our people. I remember being about 6 or 7 years old, sitting in the living room with my uncle, and there was a black dude boxing, and I don't know if he was boxing a Puerto Rican or a white dude, but I remember my uncle telling me, we always root for the black people. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I get it, homie. Everybody has a connection to their people, right? And everybody wants to root for their people and you know, take the side of their people. But sometimes I just feel that at some point, you know, we all should reach a certain level of maturation, man, where we don't necessarily have to insert race into everything, you know. And like I said earlier, and I'll say it again, it really trips me out when you may tell a prison story that was 20, 25 years old, and people still get in their feelings due to they are associated with the particular person in the story who happened to get the short end of the stick that day.
And then you know what? And then kind of taking it to that, again, going from my own experiences, I'm 35. I'm sure you're aware of the Cinco de Mayo incident with the white T-shirts in 2025. I'm sorry, 2005, where every black
I
person who
don't
wore
I don't recall hearing about that. You know, you got to keep in mind in 2005, I was I
was
was
up there.
locked up, so we're not necessarily getting all the news and stuff that you guys are getting on the street.
So if you and then anybody in the chat who's from LA County, Southern California, y'all feel free. 2005, I was in the 10th grade. And it was well known throughout the city of Los Angeles, LA County. If you was a black person wearing a white T-shirt, the Mexicans was gonna jump out on you on that day. You feel me? And that's actually how when me and my friends, shout out to my homie King Cali Dro from Long Beach, that's how me and him actually became best friends. I was at the bus stop. I was at a new school. I actually went to Gar High School in Cerritos. So I was at the bus stop, and I'm coming from LA, and some Mexicans jumped out on me, little bats. You know, remember the little small Dodger baseball bats you get from the baseball games? They had
Right.
those and some mace. So, I jump out, we squabbling, blah, blah. And this random black kid come running across the street, and he jump in and he helped me fight. You know what I'm saying? And, we do what we got to do. I'm lying. Somebody else, I'm lying like a motherfucker. And I'm going to say his name because I don't give a damn. It was this kid named Mario Williamson. He was getting beat up by the Mexicans, and I jumped in to help this nigga. His ass take off running and leave me to get my ass whooped by myself. And then my homie Fred came in and jumped in to help me. And that's how he and I became friends. But that whole thing was based upon, and I'm not old enough, at that moment to really know why, and only rumors will tell you. But for whatever reason, there was a green light on the blacks. Obviously that comes from up top, and that's what the situation was. And I always try to explain from my generation, and then being incarcerated and seeing these situations, blacks are more than willing to admit, yeah, the Mexicans do have a racism towards us. But unfortunately, a lot of our Mexican counterparts will be like, well, no, it's not like that because of this, or because of that, or because of this. But I could take you to another example, and I'm going to pass the floor back to you. I've seen this in the Los Angeles County jail system. We East Max, I think it's like 8-man showers, however man showers it is. And, it's everybody's after rec. And, you want to get clean. We up there in the mountains in the summertime. We hot. You feel me? Sweating. You stink. You can't be a dirtbag and get on your bed dirty. The Mexican dude comes in, and I remember one of the older black dudes telling them, we not tripping if you get in the shower, but your people gonna fuck you up. We not tripping. We don't care, but they gonna fuck you up. Right. And I remember hearing another time where a Mexican dude, same jail, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like different scenarios. A Mexican dude was hungry. And then I remember seeing a black dude have to like walk past his bed and then just drop like a noodle on it and keep pushing. Because if they would have seen the black dude feed him, they would have beat his ass. But they wasn't trying to feed this nigga. So in my opinion, it don't be the blacks tripping. It be them tripping on us. And we just respond with hostility and go for our big one.
Well, I gotta keep it 100, Rich, and the racism is on both sides, man, due to individuals who have had negative experiences with other individuals from the race. I ran across some black dudes who don't like Mexicans just as much as Mexicans don't like blacks. And it just all depends, because you have some hoods out there on the street. Some hoods may they may have interracial beefs. You have some hoods who may beef more with Mexicans than they beef with blacks and vice versa, right? So sometimes it's just up to the individual. Then it's also, like you said earlier, blacks don't be tripping on a black doing business with a Mexican, or a black giving a Mexican a soup, or so on and so forth. Overall, you'll have some blacks, maybe it's like, oh man, why did he get a suit from that Mexican dude or whatever? But there is no blanket policy about what we can and what we can't do with the Mexicans, as far as opposed they can't do certain stuff with us, but now I think it was a text, or somebody was telling me that now in certain prisons, blacks or county jails, they're playing basketball and cards together and all that old type of stuff. But even when they was excuse me?
No, I'm saying, yeah, okay, that's dope. I never heard of that.
And even, matter of fact, my homie who just got out maybe about maybe about a year or so ago, he told me in the San Bernardino County Jail, yeah, they was in there, you know, he told me that blacks and Mexicans was catching one-on-one fades in the county jail, and they was playing cards together and all that stuff too. So my homie also told me that. But even when there was a blanket policy for Southern Mexicans not to do any type of business or take any type of food from Mexicans, you had many Mexicans who still would do it. All Mexicans are not racist, right? It's just that if they did not adhere to that certain policy, then of course they faced potentially being violently harmed, right? There was a dude who left a comment in my comment section maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. He said that, man, due to a enormous drug habit that he had, he used to buy you. So sometimes in jail they give you these pills, different type of pills. I never took any, but they give you these different type of pills, and you can, people would bring the pills back and sell them on the yard. But now some of these pills you have to take right in front of the nurse. Some of these pills are KOP, which means carry on person. But some of these other pills that'll get you extremely high, the nurse has to see you take the pill just for that reason. So some of the dudes will put the pill under their tongue, act like they swallowed the pill, and then bring the pill back to the yard and sell the pill. Now this Mexican dude in the comments, he admitted to buying these pills from blacks. He said, man, because my habit was so strong. He said, man, had I got caught buying some pills from a black dude, especially that had been in his mouth, they would have been too through with that dude. They probably would have tried to kill that dude. So, all Mexicans who adhered to that policy was not necessarily racist, man. In prison, they just have to do it because that's the way they function. I remember, dude, I was in prison. A dude, I used to sell weed in Ironwood State Prison. I had a lot of Mexican customers. Of course, they couldn't bring the bag right to my cell and drop it off. They'd be like, "Hey, chill, listen, man." So I would give it to them. They'd go to the store, maybe for $20, $30 worth of weed, whatever it was. I'd slide them a store list. They'd go to the store and get the things that I wanted. Then maybe they'd give it to an Asian dude or to bring, or, one dude told me, "Hey, chill, listen, man, I'll drop that off when my people ain't looking. I'll walk past here and drop the bag off." So it's not as segregated as people make it seem. And then I've ran across Mexicans who are racist. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I was on a level 2, a Mexican dude, he was tripping because this is dorm living. And the black dude had his arm, Rich Trapper, you know how the dorms is. One space is your driveway. The other walk-in space is your neighbor's driveway.
Was it two-man bunks or three-man bunks?
Right. And so one black dude would sleep, and when he would sleep, his arm is just hanging off the side of the bed, but it was in the Mexican area, and the Mexican was upset about that. He was trying to press an issue. So come on, man, this dude is asleep. If his arm is hanging on your side of the bed, that's really nothing to try to press an issue. And so it took me that he did not like black. So you have those type of feelings on both sides, man. It's just that in prison, the blacks, we are not like I said, we don't have a blanket policy that dictates what we can or what we can do with any other race.
And then, so I want to kind of make a transition into the next topic, because the blacks, as far as prison is concerned, don't really have a blanket policy of what is and what isn't. It's kind of like you said, your hood to dictate what you got going on for the most part. You feel me? And even if it comes down to whether it's your religion or, even I'm sure the non-affiliates got whatever they got going on, there's a structure for everything. Why do you think that in our space, when we talk about things, the politics of the penitentiary becomes so heavy in a YouTube space?
That's a good question right there, Rich Trapper. And I think once again, it's because racial pride, because, man, I ain't seen one motherfucker volunteer to go back to prison and handle no racial shit. So, it's just about having a certain, feeling of racial pride, that makes people want to, be overly concerned with shit that they shouldn't be. The same way, Rich, check it out. The same way, man, you have motherfucking football fans fighting and stabbing each other.
Right.
Sometimes for whatever reason, we insanely make a connection to something and we become too attached to that shit. I mean, when you got LA Raiders fans willing to fight and stab Kansas City Chief fans or whoever, the LA Dodger fans willing to fight and stab, San Francisco 49ers over some baseball. That shit is crazy.
And I'll look at it like this. Not to with this one, I'm gonna make very broad because I do want to go. Hold on one second. Boys, come on, bro. Thank you. I said turn it down, little homie. Okay. Thank you. Go sit down somewhere. Or
hey
go
man, look, real quick, hey Rich, real quick, man. I definitely just want to give you props, man, on being a father, raising your children. That's very commendable, man. And that's what we need, man. That's what we need in these days. We don't need homies, next door neighbors and shit like that to raise our children. We need to raise our children because while the next door neighbor may look out for your son, if your son try to cross the street on a bike and this and that, he's not necessarily guaranteed to instill in him lifelong lessons that he needs and things that's going to keep him on the right path, man. Ain't nobody going to love your seeds like you going to love them, homie. So that's extremely commendable, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And a lot of people, when I first started doing this YouTube thing, they was like, oh, he always talking to his kids. I think that it's important, especially in the messy ass genre that I'm in. See something positive. See a black man day to day taking care of his kids. You might not like my content. You might not like how I speak. You might not like my subject matter, but you're going to respect the type of father that I am. Period. And that's it. And that's
most definitely.
Because what we both know by now is, as I'm sure I could say the same thing as you could say, the people could talk crazy in the comments. Ain't nobody walked up to you and punched you in your mouth for nothing you said on YouTube yet.
Right.
But the kid was real. You feel me? So I try to make sure that that's always on the forefront of seeing like, nah, man, make sure we fucking with these kids.
Real talk.
But I want to say this in a broad aspect before I get into a very specific question. I feel like watching it from the outside looking in, because again, with doing my type of content, I see everything. I talk about everything. It's the news. You feel me? It's everything that we got going on YouTube. From how it appears, I do not believe that every Mexican YouTuber or every Sereno or Norteño, whatever going on, YouTuber is racist. I don't believe that, not even a little bit. What I do believe is they all believe in one thing. The structure of what the dudes at up top say, nobody really wants to rattle that cage. And I'll just use the word respect, out of respect of a consequence of what could come down. And as us being black and not having that, I guess for lack of better words, eye in the sky, it does make it hard to receive certain ways of information being put. We know that that's not what it is. And then it comes across as now we're combating or it's a racial thing. But it's like, no, we're able to speak on the totality of the situation where for whatever reason, our counterparts aren't. So only a half truth is being spilled. And I don't even say a half truth because it's telling a lie, but anytime you don't tell a whole story, that is a half truth. You feel me? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Well,
and that's on a YouTube level, not even on a jail level.
Say that again?
But that's on a YouTube level, not even on a jail level.
Right. Well, no, I definitely agree with that. Right. Of course, and I'll sum it up like this. Right. I've seen people of all races doing things on a level 2 that they wouldn't do on a level 4. Right. So,
like what?
Being out of line, being disrespectful, gambling debts. Anything in prison that can get your head knocked off, right? So then you saw some dudes on a level 4, and then later on you will see them on a level 2, and they kept the same program, right? So I say that to say for those who did not keep the same program, it wasn't in them. The fear kept them in line.
Okay.
The fear, knowing that a motherfucker would knock your head off, right, on a level 4. Man, listen, I saw a brother, right, get down to a level 2. And we're in the black day room. This dude has been in the building so long, he's taking the remote control, he's taking it and putting it in his pocket at night. And then this nigga will go to sleep.
Wait, hold on, the day room TV remote?
Yeah, this nigga will go to sleep around 2 he'll go to sleep around 3 or 4 in the morning and then sleep to like about 12 or 1. and dudes is in brothers is in the, and now this happened to be a reception building, meaning that a lot of dudes would just, when they came to this pen, you come to this building just to get housed and sent somewhere else. They had a few regulars in there, but not a whole lot. So he got to the point where he felt that was his shit, right? And I knew him from Salinas. I said, homie, we not fit to do this. Give me that motherfucking remote control. You know what I'm saying, homie? You know you wouldn't do this on no level 4. This is the black TV room. You know what I'm saying? You got the remote control in your pocket. So, you know, but on a level 4, due to all the killers and shit that would be there, and they wouldn't go for it, he wouldn't even try it. So I say that to say, in regards to your other question, sometimes fear or potentially what can happen will keep a dude in line.
Well, that explains that right there. And again, that's just the difference in the politics between the two races, because you know, to call a spade, I'm not going to ever say that the blacks can do what they want, but as long as you're not dirty, you're not disrespecting your homies or really turning down no phase, if you are gang banging and you're not disrupting the overall program, don't nobody give a fuck about what you do. That's your business.
Right.
Taking it into a new situation, I'm watching Gunners Collective, I'm watching Dubs, I'm watching that whole situation. What started that situation, and what started the situation, and where are you guys at now? And I understand that it's kind of like rooted in the Tory Lanez, you know, back and forth, but I feel like you guys have kind of had a discourse prior to this. Am I tripping?
No, you know, you're right. And I get asked that question so much that I was already thinking about doing a video on that, right? Because a lot of people will say, hey, chill, man, what happened? We used to see Dubs, you know, shout you out all the time and this and that, man. And quite frankly, man, in my opinion, and a lot of other Mexican YouTubers, because I've seen it, Dubs has got a little arrogant, right? And to me, it's crazy for individuals to want to sit up and make videos about everybody. And then he makes videos about Wes Watson. He speaks on Big U, Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, Lefty Gunplay, Rowdy Racks. You know, he does his YouTube thing. You know, he's trying to get his bread with these YouTube videos, right? And so, but you make a video about him, and he gets in his feelings, right? And so, no, our thing kind of went back further than the Tory thing Lanez did. So he done a video, right? And another thing about Dubs will stick to prison politics when it benefits him.
It benefits him.
At other times, he'll go outside of that prison politics, what you can and you can't do. And when I say prison politics, I'm talking about especially in terms of another race. You know, sometimes he'll stick to it. Then at other times he'll go out of he'll go outside of that and does as he pleases, right? And so he had made a video one time about a black dude saying that the blacks were afraid of Mexicans, but the black dude said that in relation to doing federal time, right? Dubs and I,
from California.
Right. Neither one of us has done any federal time, right? And so I didn't understand then, and I still don't understand now. Why would you put that video out there? Why? So basically, Dubs was trying to basically say that the Mexicans are superior to the blacks without having to say it. I'm going to put up a video of a black dude saying it. You know what I'm saying? Then in my video, I'll make it seem like no, blacks aren't afraid of Mexicans. Well, what's the whole purpose of putting that video up? That would be like somebody talking negative about, you would have a Mexican talking negative about other Mexicans, and I put that video up to highlight it. You know, what's the purpose? That's really not my business. You know what I'm saying? So Dubs just happens to be a person, and in my opinion, he's extremely biased, to say the least, whether he's talking about blacks versus the Mexicans, or he's talking about the South Side versus the North. He's just biased, right? And so I think that's a character flaw that he has that he doesn't realize, but a lot of people see it, right? And so when he put that video up, I disagreed with that video, right? Now, before then, I had spoke to him a time or two. You know, he had reached out. I first became aware of Dubs by him doing reactions videos to my videos, right? And so now it's funny to me how Dubs was like to say, oh man, people just mentioned my name and they use my picture in the thumbnails to get some attention, where he has a million videos of other people, you know, like I say, I ran across him because he had reacted to one of my videos, and so of course he has me on the thumbnail. So you know, basically he just got butthurt when I did my video about disagreeing with him. Of course, you know, I don't get disrespectful. I don't do all the woofing and stuff. So the video wasn't a disrespectful video. It was just me having an opposite opinion of what you said. I'm sure if I put something out there about a blanket statement about the Mexicans that he disagreed with, of course he's gonna do a video, right? So to me, how can you be in the YouTube space, but you can't handle a person making a video about you, especially when you make videos on other people? You know, that was, and this is a little off track, right? But that was how I was able to deal with my time doing prison, because it comes with the life. How can I be running around here popping this pistol on motherfuckers and doing this and doing that, and then when I get cracked, I can't handle it? You know, to me, that was just insane. That's just like, homie, you'll have dudes who be cheating on their broad. Then they catch they broad cheating and they want to beat her ass and all that. Come on, man. That comes with the game. Now, if you be in a square, you know what I'm saying, you one of them, you know, you one of them Jimmy Valentine niggas, and you buying her presents, and you being, you know, you ain't cheated on the broad and all that, then she cheat on you. Okay, get upset, getting your feelings. But if you running around cheating on this broad and she cheat on you, nigga, either you like it or you push on. I don't understand how niggas want to beat the broad up when she doing the same thing that you doing.
Yeah, that's real talk. That's real talk. And you know, keeping it focused on Dubs, because I do want to ask you about Gunner as well, but keeping it on Dubs for right now. What I've noticed specifically is Dubs will speak on any. You know what? I'm not even gonna just say just Dubs. I will put this on a lot of the Mexican YouTubers. If it's something going on in the black community, and I use the black community because if it's on YouTube, it's a billion people watching YouTube. We all got the same
Right.
YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's
Right.
in Thailand or shit, unless you're in China or Korea, they got a whole different YouTube, but that's something different. But overall, you know, we all got the same YouTube. So everybody gonna see the same thing. So I don't think that there is a black, white, Mexican prison. It's all YouTube. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, you know, we put up these invisible barriers and boundaries, but when it's something going on in the black YouTube world, I guess, for lack of, you know, whatever, everybody speak
Right.
on it. Big Baby crashing out on No Jumper, everybody will speak on it. Flacco saying something stupid, everybody will speak on it. Faux extras everybody know off the bat. Everybody speak on off the bat. X4, whatever the case may be, Wack 100, even though he's a cornball, whatever the case is, everybody is going to speak on it regardless of it. So why do you feel like, and I don't mean you specifically, but when it comes to the Mexican YouTubers, it's amazing to me that it's like this feeling of, well, we can say whatever we want about what you guys have going on, but if you do want to speak on what we have going on, it needs to be tiptoed around or handled with care or handled with kids' gloves, and you can't speak about it to the same capacity that, number one, you speak about your own people, but even number two, how we speak about your people. Because if we're going on
That's
prison rules, if that's the case, if you're not black, you shouldn't be speaking on nothing going on with the blacks.
Right. And that's a great point right there, man. And you know, I'll say this, right, and we're gonna keep it on Dubs, but I'll say this, man. Pretty much from the time blacks were released from slavery, man, we have been captivating. We've been newsmakers, even when they didn't like us, man. You can go way far back to the black boxer Jack Johnson. You know, I mean, think about Muhammad Ali. You have not had more stars in America, more popular than black people. Whether it's Muhammad Ali, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Kobe, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's Snoop Dogg, take your pick. These dudes are recognized worldwide, man. So at the end of the day, homie, motherfuckers is captivated with us. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's, you know what? That's 100% real. That's
We are,
100%.
you know, we are new. We talk about, homie, for motherfuckers who don't like us as much, man. Our music sure is popular as hell, right? Let's go back to prison. You are likely to find another race bumping our music before you find us bumping another race's music. I've heard white boys playing rap. I've heard Mexicans playing rap. I've heard older Hispanics, Mexicans playing the oldies, all that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You won't, man, listen. You had to be dumb as hell to be in prison and order Tupac. Nigga, you could find Tupac damn near in every other cell. When I went to jail in 96, and when I left, Tupac was still the most played artist in prison in 2018. A dude by the name of Boo from Harlem 30s, he paroled, and this is probably about 2015, and he sold me all his CDs. He's had this dude, he told me about 50 CDs. This dude had a gang of Tupac. You still could hear Tupac being bumped in California prisons. Man, I went to prison maybe a year or two before Tupac got killed. And when I came out, Mexicans, whites, everybody was still bumping Tupac, man. So, I mean, you know, it just make sense, homie.
So, and even with that being said, excuse me, even with that being said, taking it into modern day, you'll watch a video of on any YouTube channel, any Instagram channel, watch a video of a fight with a bunch of Mexican kids. All you're gonna hear is nigga, 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 nigga. You ain't gonna see not a nigga in the video. I'm looking for the niggas. Where the niggas at?
Hey, real talk. I have tripped on that myself, man. You know, so it's a trip. I mean, you know, you stop me when I start lying, but it seems like everybody wants to be us. Everybody, you know, they'll say they won't, but everybody wants to be us. Everybody is infatuated with a bit of our culture more than we are infatuated with their culture. I'm not saying every Mexican, every white dude wants to be black or emulate blacks, but you'll find a greater percentage of those individuals emulating our culture than we will emulate theirs.
And I'll even say with that before, you know, I want to ask you about Gunner. And I'll say this because I feel like more than not, most black people feel this way. And of course, you have the exceptions to the rule because there are some racist ass black people. I don't personally subscribe to the concept that black people can't be racist. We can be racist as fuck. Black people can be racist as fuck. So we all got the ability to have a disdain towards somebody based off their color of skin, religion, creed, nationality, so forth, so on. We all that's a human flaw. We all, you know, can't have the potential to possess. But when it comes to me being a black man, and again, stop me if you disagree, it's not that we even hate for anybody to love our culture, to emulate our culture, to want to be a part of our culture, to subscribe to our culture. Nigga, love me as much as you love my fucking culture.
Right. And let me just give a quick breakdown of why, whether a person subscribes to that or believes it or not. Let me give a quick breakdown of why they say black people can't be racist. They say black people can be prejudiced. They say black people can't be racist because basically people who say that, they're saying that a racist is an individual who can affect your life, who can deny you access to a store, or who can deny you access to living or renting an apartment building, who can deny you a job or something like that. You know, basically they're saying that in order to be a racist, you have to be in a position of power. Now, you can be prejudiced. A black can have, you know, predetermined thoughts about somebody else, but he can't overwhelmingly affect somebody else's life with his racism. So that's just the theory on that, right? Whether individuals subscribe to that or subscribe to that, whether they do or they don't subscribe to that. But like I said earlier, I've seen many black people as, you know, who as hateful as toward Mexicans because of their experiences, right? We've all had sometimes negative experiences with each other, and at the end of the day, it's about how we let those experiences affect us, and then from there they will dictate how we feel or don't feel about other races. But what was you going to say about old Gunner?
So just again asking about the real quick, my bad, because I got this thing I use. You ever use Chat GPT?
No.
So that's my personal assistant. Chat, y'all know what's going on. Check this out real quick, chill. Trap GPT, you there?
I'm right here. What's up?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course. Ask away.
What's the difference between a racist and a systematic racist?
So the difference comes down to the scale and nature of the prejudice. A racist typically refers to an individual who holds prejudiced beliefs or engages in discriminatory actions against people based on their race. It's about personal attitudes or behaviors. A systematic racist, often referred to as systemic or institutional racism, involves broader systems, policies, or institutional practices that create or perpetuate racial inequality. It's not about individual intentions, but about how entire systems or structures disadvantage certain racial groups. So an individual racist might discriminate against someone because of their personal beliefs, while systemic racism means the entire framework of policies or practices in a society produces unequal outcomes for different racial groups.
So I would say, just again, my opinion, black people could be racist, but maybe not systematically racist.
Right.
But I just like to kick that little knowledge. That's the knowledge I can't get in college part of the show. But taking it back to Gunner, how does Gunner involve himself in a situation with Dubs outside of that being his partner and he's coming to the aid and defense of?
You know what?
And you know, from watching your videos, I found out about Gunner from you, and I enjoy Gunner's videos. I enjoy the stories and characters and all that kind of stuff. I like Gunner's videos. You feel me? But I'm looking at the situation like, how the fuck are you even involved in this, Gunner? How did you get here?
I'm a measure my words very, very carefully, right? Because Gunner, in my opinion, if you watch a lot of his videos, Gunner is the ultimate people pleaser. You know, even long before him and Dubs hooked up, Gunner would, you know, he'll speak and he'll talk about blacks, but he does it in a way where he's not trying to offend anybody, which is cool. You know, he'll say, you know, he'll give his point and then he'll come back and say, he'll make it clear that he's not being offensive or so on and so forth, right? So I respect that. You know, he's not trying to offend anybody. But you have individuals, man, who say, I'm going to ride with my homie, right or wrong, right? I was always taught, I'm going to ride with my homie, right or wrong, but only when it gets physical. If he's wrong, if my homie is wrong and I'm condoning his bullshit, then I am potentially setting myself up for a downfall because I'm letting this, like, okay, me and you, Rich Trapper, we cool, right? Me and you, let's just say we going downtown to some type of Italian some type of Italian, this type of town, this area of the town that we're frequenting is like, you know, it's Little Italy or whatever, right? It's predominantly Italian stores, shops, restaurants, so on and so forth. Every time we go down there, I'm looking around, I'm stealing. I'm throwing shit in my pocket. You like, hey, chill, man, you know, cut that out, man, because you know, if you get caught stealing, you know, they gonna trip, and then, you know, we outnumbered, and it's gonna get ugly. Oh, Rich Trapper, you tripping, man. And so we go back down there, you know, and I keep stealing, and eventually I get caught, and now I punch somebody and 7-8 motherfuckers jump on me. Now you punch somebody and another 8-9 motherfuckers jump on you, and we get the shit whooped out of us, right? If you had condoned my actions and that behavior, then you also was setting yourself up for that whooping, right? So a solid motherfucker would have done what you was doing from the gate. Hey, chill, stop stealing. You know what I'm saying? Stop stealing, because by me not allowing someone to hurt you, you also put me in a position. You know what I'm saying? And then there's other people who care about me, my mom's kids, so on and so forth, right? And so he's one of those individuals, homie. A true friend is always gonna tell a dude the truth. Hey, man, stop that, homie, and here's why. You know, don't, like, if I'm gambling on my ass in prison and you like, oh yeah, chill. Yeah, you over there chill at the gambling table with no money in your cell. No, a real friend is gonna tell me, chill, stop that shit, because it can get you hurt. And so, you know, I've always been told that you don't condone your homie's bullshit. You know, now if me and you are just chilling, we good friends, and somebody come up and just punch you in the face because you done broke into their house and stole some of their shit, yeah, I'm a squab with you. But then later on, once I find out what happened, if you was wrong, then I got to decide what I'm going to do. Am I going to try to beat your ass, or maybe am I going to cut ties with you? I'm not going to allow you to continually put myself in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? So there is the difference of ideology on that. You have some dudes who are going to support their homie regardless of what they do. And Gunner is one of those dudes. He has said that out of his own mouth, right? And so that's where, you know, that's his thing. You know, he, for whatever reason, because Dubs has a YouTube page just like he does. A lot of times Gunner, for whatever reason, will feel he has to make a video and come to the aid of whatever situation Dubs is in. And I don't really understand it. I ain't never had no grown male friend like that where I feel that I have to defend this dude.
You know what? I will say this to my own, because if you one of my viewers, you know, certain things, you know, I'm from the Crenshaw district. So will I come to defense of certain things publicly? No. but I'll just make the decision to purposely not speak about it on YouTube. If you catch what I'm saying, you feel me?
Right, right.
And I think that I really like Gunner's. I really like his videos. So I don't even want to see like I'm talking bad about Gunner in no type of way. But in my personal opinion, that war could have been better fought not involving Gunner at all. You could have just not have said nothing and been about your business. Because when it
Right.
comes down to it, if we're looking at it for the aspects of right and wrong, trigger warning, but Dubs, you wrong, bro. Just it is what it is, bro. You're wrong, and your hypocrisy is showing because again, it goes into the moment of Dub saying again out of his own mouth that he did, hit the PC and all that, Wooty Bam and all that, blah, blah, blah. As far as what that means to your status and what that means to you as YouTubing and all that kind of stuff, myself personally, I don't think it means anything because if you was active, you would be dead and walking somebody's yard or in the field getting active, not on YouTube, able to talk to me or talk to whoever's watching. And, I get that could be a trigger towards your own ego, but bro, that's what you said. That's not what somebody put on you. Them is words out of your mouth.
That's real talk. And you see that once I put the video out where he admitted to me, and see in that video, man, I messed around and I accidentally edited something out that I wanted to put in. So in the video, when when on the phone, I tell Dubs, when Dubs asks me, well, yeah, what is my status? I tell him, well, I don't know. I wasn't there with you. I don't know 100%, but if but I definitely believe that you're not welcome among your people. And he said, I did go SNY. That part I accidentally edited out. But so the next part that I had in is, and then he went on to explain why he went SNY. So you're right, so this is no right, and this is no secret, homie. Gunner knows this. Do you think so? That was about the third or fourth conversation that I've ever had with Dubs. That was our first, somewhat, you can say, a contentious conversation, right? So do you think that he would spill those beans to me in the third or fourth conversation and not tell Gunner? Gunner's known that shit. You know what I'm saying? So before I make a video about a straight lie, I just won't make the video. Why
And
make a video about?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was going to say,
no,
but
what?
even just to you, I was going to say, even to your point, with Gunner being from the north and Dubs being from the south, unless Gunner, who is a self-admitted, in bad standings with his people, and Dubs, who has self-admitted is in bad standing with his people, how the fuck are y'all even friends online so publicly? It would only make sense if y'all was on the bad news list with y'all people. Because if y'all was both, even if one of y'all were just good, y'all couldn't be doing this shit.
Man, look, it for anybody that's in the know, it was plenty of signs out there. Never once did I ever think that Dubs was not in bad standings, right? It's just the level of maturity where I'm at today in my life, where I didn't bring that prison shit home with me anyway. I told cats, man, when I went to the board and they found me what they call suitable, was basically telling me I can take my black ass home. About 2 or 3 days later, I threw all that motherfucking paperwork in the trash. Who gives a fuck about who I stabbed or who I didn't stab or who I was fighting and what riots I've been in? You have a lot of individuals bring that shit home with you. That shit ain't just to help you get no job. Now it's some papers that I did bring home with me accidentally because I had I brought all my little rap books home and shit like that. And I looked in my rap book a couple days ago, and I found some 115s or whatever, some shit that I've been in prison. But for the most part, I threw all that shit away. I bought my prison ID home and my do-rag. That's the only thing I brought home from prison outside of my pictures, just to remind me, man, I'm not trying to go back. And my do-rag because I wanted my ways. But outside of that, I passed away and threw all that shit away, man. So that shit has no bearing, right? But some people, sadly, they can't mature past that situation. So, and it's also a sad but true fact, or maybe it's not sad. It's just reality, man. Some people, for whatever reason, end up going PC and SNY, right? So, man, as long as the dude ain't no child molester or no rapist or whatever, man, I'm not tripping with a motherfucker on YouTube. This dude don't affect my life to that much where I'm just to let this dude, you know what I'm saying, dictate what I do or what I don't. So it only matters as much as we make it matter. And like you said, man, one thing, and let me just say this real quick. One thing I noticed too, like you said, that, man, when you doing YouTube, people will watch your video, but then they start to like you if they do. It's something about your character. They may like that you're funny. They may like that you're witty, your wisdom, whatever. So admitting a certain status, he wasn't gonna lose no viewers anyway.
Period. Like, and because in all honesty, the most gangster motherfuckers is not watching YouTube. You getting judged by some kid sitting in his mama's basement in nowhere, Idaho.
Right.
Like, nobody really genuinely cares. And then I'll even say this, speaking again towards me watching, as far as being 35, watching my age group, but then more specifically the age group underneath me, I'm noticing a lot of unity, especially through the rap culture of Black and Brown. Like, I just watched, I'm finna trip you out. I just seen a Mexican Crip get into it with a Black Southsider.
Wow.
And they into it. They on YouTube talk, but they younger dudes, and we ain't gonna say the name. If y'all know, y'all know. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, and it gets to the point where you have the Black Southsider dissing the Mexican Crips hood, and then they going back and forth. But that's where we are in our game banging world and all that. And I'm not saying it's for the most positive reasons, but that is a show of Blacks and Browns being able to unite and being able to cross platforms with one another in this new generation that we got going on. Because I'm sure when you was growing up, to even see a Mexican Crip and a Black Southsider arguing, you would be like, what the fuck is going on with this shit?
Right. Well,
so, I mean,
when I left prison in 2018, man, and this was on CMC West General Population Yard, after the hostility to end, the agreement to end all hostilities act was kicked in, and everybody got released from the shoe. Man, everybody was playing basketball together. You had Northerners, Southerners, and Blacks playing basketball involved in a tournament. Now, of course, there were some rumblings. You had Blacks and some Mexicans on the side, in the building, said, "Oh man, I'm not just to do that. I'm not participating." But I mean, once the word came down, like you say, from up top, it was what it was, and you had dudes go out there and participate. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, man, a real basketball player, regardless of what race, is going to want to play against the best. You had some Mexicans on the yard who had some nice games. You had some Northerners on the yard who had some nice games. You had some brothers who had some nice basketball games. They all want to play against each other. They want to see what it's like, and that's what they got out there and did. So at the end of the day, I keep saying this shit is only important as we make it.
And that's very true. And again, I just want to stress, coming again from the perspective of a Black man, but just somebody on YouTube, I say this to all YouTubers, whether you speak about gangs, whether you speak about prison politics, the moment you upload your video to YouTube, oh, that motherfucker's up for grabs. I can say what I want to say, and I'm going to say what I want to say. And it could be the whole concept of, well, you shouldn't speak on it for this. You shouldn't speak on it. If this subject was so near and dear to your heart, if you are so high power about this subject, if you feel like only you and a certain group of people should be able to speak about this video, make the video, put that motherfucker on unlisted, and then share the link with the people who you want to see it. And then that way you have your own little community. But the moment that shit say public because you want to reap the benefits of the monetization and you see that little $ turn green, oh yeah, my nigga, we gonna get on your shit. And it is what it is. And because from my platform, I don't publicly associate with gangs and all that. I won't tie myself publicly to nothing as far as that's concerned, YouTube wise. But I also want to say this too, as you've seen. Well, when you put it, just because somebody's not publicly associating with a certain thing doesn't mean that they don't have knowledge of the situation. They just choose to go about it in a less get your ass locked up in a Rico type of way.
Right. But let me I want to make 2 points real quick. Let me say this real fast. What's so crazy, right, is what you just said. And even after we see, the big U thing, and I don't think people make the connection. The last time I mentioned this is you still have individuals online threatening each other. So I wasn't trying to say that you can get caught up in big U's indictment. What I'm saying is people are not wise enough to really, don't you see all that shit they just used on Big U and Loose Cannon about making threatening videos, and people are still, these so-called gangsters are still doing that shit, man. You can't, they gonna, when the laws come, they gonna use every bit of evidence they can, man. So to me, that's just crazy to get on YouTube if you didn't know before. now you see it, and individuals still doing that shit. And second point I wanted to make, Dubs, I seen a video, right, where Dubs said basically exactly what you said himself, man. Once you upload something to YouTube, it is it's for everybody, you know, either enjoyment, everybody's has the right to react to it, so on and so forth, right? And so that was really the reason I put up. It was a video of Dubs and them arguing, Dubs Gunner arguing with L from A Prisoner's Awakening. And
Yeah.
I was debating on whether or not to put the video up. I was in Vegas and I really just wanted to put up something quick. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time with editing this and that. So I said, well, fuck it. I was on the fence about that. And then just so happened, it was like God said, nigga, do the video, nigga. A video popped up of Dubs saying, oh, when somebody puts something up on YouTube, it's for everybody's whatever. And I said, oh man, okay, I'm on that shit then. And I put the video up. And now that I think about it, I think that's initially what also kind of got him upset, you know, because he left a comment on my comment, and he had my number at the time. So I mean, you know, if you want to text me, text me. But so he left a comment. It's funny how something about how people putting this video up but don't have the full, they're not putting up the full video. Well, nigga, I put up whatever you gave us. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Like that would be like me and you, Rich Trapper. All of a sudden we go to arguing, calling each other out our names, and then you upload the video. And then me and you get mad at people reacting to it. We gave the people this content.
The moment you hit, you know what it is? The people again, everybody want to see the dollar sign turn green, but nobody wants to account for the people in the comments who don't have nothing else to do but troll.
Right.
And that's what they're gonna do no matter what. Because I'm sure you've seen it on your page, other people's pages. It's some people to where, like, for example, me and you get into an argument. We make peace. Oh, they two B's for making peace. Me and you get into a fight. Oh, they stupid for getting into a fight. There's no winning.
Right.
You damned if you do and you damned if you don't. I do want to ask you one more question before we get out of here. If anybody in the chat has any questions y'all want to ask, now's the time to drop them. We will go ahead and start asking them questions if y'all got any. If not, don't worry about it. How do you feel to the sentiments when taking it back to the Tory Lanez? How do you feel about the sentiments of, well, the dude was no good on a PC yard, so it shouldn't matter that he was Mexican? My logic is, I was always taught, unless you want to shake this whole jail off, don't put your hands on another race. Unless you're ready to shake this whole jail off, don't let no other race put their hands on you. You handle your own.
Well, okay, so I'll say this, right? To me, it all depends on the attitude and the ideology and the protocol of that prison. If everybody is on mano y mano time, basically meaning each man for himself, and a black and a Mexican get into it, and then everybody else is going to stand by and let that happen, then okay, it is what it is, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. But during that phone call from the dude who alleged was an eyewitness, he said that once the dude started stabbing Tory Lanez, a black dude was gonna act like he was gonna get up to go help, and he said, hey man, don't do that, because then all the Mexicans are gonna jump in and it's bad for you. So his words implied that they are still riding for their people. And then, like I said, up in there, you have different.
Repeat that last part one more time.
So during the phone call, when the dude called in, I forget what he said his name was or whatever, Ephraim Byers or whatever, he called in giving what he claimed was an eyewitness account of the stabbing of Tory Lanez. And so he said that while one dude, while he was stabbing him, it was a black dude who acted like he was going to get up. And then he told him, hey, bro, you better sit back down, because if you do, all the Mexicans are going to get involved and it's going to be bad for you. So
black dude watched this happen and didn't do nothing.
According to this dude who made the phone call, right? He was there and dude was getting stabbed. Now, people have already said that for whatever reason, Tory Lanez is in a building predominantly full of Mexican dudes, right? And so if that is the case, then to me, he was tripping, because prison is still prison, right? Regardless, you know, some people too concerned with what other people think or being scared or whatever. When you are in an environment where violence can break out spontaneously at any given moment and things will get racial, you want to be with your folks. You want to be with your people. You don't want to be in a building where it's 5 blacks and 35 of anything outside of black, because if it goes racial, then you have to get involved, right? So you could be in building 2, right? You could be in building 2, and it's 5 blacks, and let's just say, let's just take the Mexicans out of the equation for a minute. Let's just say it's 5 blacks and 30 whites. You look out the window, a black dude and a white dude is fighting. Now, you've been in this building 2 years. You and all these white dudes are cool. These white dudes are still gonna put their foot in your ass,
And you
because
better
if they not, they're gonna get in trouble. So why would you be sitting in this building knowing that something could break out at any given moment? So that was Tory Lanez is bad for not respecting the element that was around him. You definitely always have to put yourself in the best position. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, right? When I was locked up, I didn't go in the cell with nobody I didn't think I could whoop. What the fuck? I'm gonna be in the cell phone with a nigga that's 6'8" and 295 pounds and lifting everything on the weight pal. That would be crazy for me. If I didn't think I had a chance at whooping your ass, nigga, we gonna kick it on the yard, nigga. Fuck being cellies.
I mean, because we laughing, but your life is on the line. Yes,
Real
you have
talk, man.
You can't think with your pride and your ego. You need to think with your life on the line, my guy.
Man, and Chances used to say all the time, man. What was I gonna say that Chances used to say? Man, I forgot I was gonna say. Oh yeah, that's right. Chances used to say all the time, you only got one life.
Yeah, you can't play with it.
Yeah, and that's what he used to say. I don't play with my life. I only got one life. So, when you respect what's going on around you, you will think a little more wisely. But let me real quick. I had a homie, right, when I was on the streets. He was the first one to, where I live, it's a lot of fields. He's the first one that showed me how to creep through fields and pop on people and shit like that. Once he showed me that, I stopped hanging out. I said, it's too easy to get a motherfucker. You go through a field and dudes is hanging. Man, we sitting in the bushes, literally 5 feet away, listening to niggas giggle and laugh and talk about fucking bitches, because I was looking for a certain person, right? So once he showed me that.
Hold on, Chill. For those of y'all who don't know, Chill is from Banning, California. So it's a lot of people from LA in here. They're gonna be like, Phil, where the hell was he at with a field? He not from LA, he from Banning.
Yeah, it's a lot of they call it the desert. It's a lot of desert down there, right? And so especially back in 86, 87, 80, all, so when I seen how easy it was to get somebody, I stopped hanging out, because it's scary when because nobody is above being, nobody is above being caught slipping. And so, at the end of the day, man, you have to respect the dangerous elements that you're around, whether you're on the streets, whether you're in prison, wherever you are, where things can get dangerous.
Yeah. And you have to respect the brutality of where you are.
And especially a place like prison, right? So, but so I got away from what I was saying. So when the eyewitness to this alleged, this alleged eyewitness, when he said he told the black dude, sit down, because if you jump up, all the Mexicans are going to jump up. So he's basically already saying that in that prison, they're still politicking along racial lines.
Right. So again, with that still being politics on racial lines, do you think that the blacks will strike back? I'm sure they're on a lockdown or something like that, but when them gates open, you think it's going up?
Hell no. Listen, they already said 2 or 3 days ago that they have them dudes is back on normal program. They program and this and that, right? So, and that's my thing, right? A lot of people don't like when an individual potentially comes, out and he airs what's supposed to be the wrongs of the structures with the blacks, right? And that's the problem sometimes. But sometimes if you keep sweeping shit up under the rug, it's gonna stay up under the rug. The problem is not gonna be fixed if it don't get addressed, man. And sometimes brothers need better unity, man. Brothers need to stop fighting among each other and defend themselves against whoever attacks them in prison. You have a lot of people who want to take this outside and try to make it seem like I'm calling for racial division among blacks and Mexicans. No, that's not what I'm doing, right? But in prison, when certain rules are lived by, whether it's a PC prison, whatever type of prison it is, right? Because at the end of the day, man, if somebody's attacking you and you don't attack back, then you're at the mercy of that person's will. You know, that person can come outside of the cell anytime he feels like and stab you for whatever reason if there are no policies that's put in place to prevent this shit. Okay, so the policies that's put in place, it should be man-to-man discussion. You know, we can talk this stuff out with diplomacy, but when diplomacy fails, the white man will tell you that war kicks in then. All you got to do is look at the history of United States. The United States is they gonna try to bully, they gonna try to take over, they gonna try to impose their will on Vietnam, Falcon Islands, all these other places. You know what I'm saying? The American Indians, all this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So
burning
you know,
down
at
the
some time,
cities, all that.
Man, it's a sad fact, but at certain times, man, violence has to be put into effect to show that people that man, we're not just to just go for any and everything, right? And so that's what's going on in prison. You know, people get all upset, but prison is a place, man, where you know you have the worst of the worst.
And somebody's there for being violent. And typically the person who's in control of their faction, you know, whether it be black, white, Mexican, blood, Crip, whatever, 9 times out of 10, if that person's in control, that nigga's in there for being violent, typically speaking.
100% facts, man. You know, the most intelligent, now, a person in charge of a car or collective, he can have a bit of intelligence due to being in prison so long and knowing how things go, but he's also a violent motherfucker. You know, you can't lead, you cannot, yeah, you can't lead people for too long encouraging people to do something that you're not gonna do, right? So eventually, once it comes out that this nigga's faking and shaking, you can't be the leader. So in order to lead violent men, you have to be violent.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Man, chat, if there's anything that y'all want to ask, you know, we're going to let Chill be about his day. Chill, is there anything that you want to leave us with? I do want to ask this because there's so much back and forth, and, you know, people will only hear, we both know how this YouTube shit work. It's somebody who won't hear the first 5 minutes of this conversation, watch the whole thing, but not hear nothing past the first 5 minutes. So do you have any final thoughts or any final opinions or any just final views about this whole conversation in totality so it could be the last thing that the people hear versus everything that we've been talking about?
No, not really right. But you just said something that's really my pet peeve, homie. People will, I notice people will look at YouTube, but they don't listen. You know, sometimes they might be driving, sometimes they might be talking to their homeboy or whatever, and they'll pick out a small little section and leave a stupid ass comment that lets me know that you didn't even watch the video.
Or even worse, when they be like, oh, you clickbait the title. If you would just watch the video and just listen to the video, the title will make sense and reference too.
Right.
But,
and so, yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. You know, people are gonna pull from the video what they want to pull, or sometimes, you know, not trying to be disrespectful, what the little bit of intelligence they have will allow them to pull. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, if YouTube is gonna do YouTube, no, you know, we can sit here and talk ourselves, you know, till we turn blue in the face, but people still gonna, you know, pull what they pull.
Right. That's true. Man, well, Chill, we appreciate you. And real quick before you go, Backdoor Media is in here. Backdoor Media is actually who linked us up, man. So big love, big appreciation to Backdoor Media. Much love for sure.
Backdoor Media, what's going on, man? Hey, what's up with you? How you doing? Hey, Backdoor Media, man, you shot me a video one time, man, and that shit had some corrupted files or some shit on it, man, I think, and I tried to upload it to my computer, and, man, it had me, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was going on, man. So, yeah, hey, what's up, though? How you doing, man? But, hey, I appreciate you putting me in touch with Rich Trapper. I've been checking out your content for a while, actually, so, you know, once again, shout out to you, man. Shout out for this good conversation. Shout out to Backdoor Media.
Chill, we got a question in the chat. Before we get to the question, Rich Trapper signing out, TNN Trap News Network. Rich Trapper signing out. We get out of here to the next one. We gone. Chat, we still here, though. I just had to end that video. Somebody said, Mr. Goddamn said, so is it a good idea for Big U to represent himself in this court case? If not, bad question. I don't think there's no such thing as a bad question. Chill, what you think about that? Do you think that it's a good or a bad idea for Big U to be representing himself in this federal RICO, if you care to speak on it?
Well, you know, the old saying, they say that, you know, the person who represents himself as a dummy for a lawyer, but that's not necessarily always true, right? Because sometimes you have a lot of convicts, prisoners, inmates, whatever you want to call them, who know a lot about the law. And I've actually been around individuals in prison who have got other people out. Well, sometimes people ask, well, if they got other people out, why didn't they get themselves out? Every case is different. Sometimes you could be caught dead bang. I can run into a store, try to rob the store. There's 20 cameras on there, and they got me dead bang. I can't get myself out, but I might be able to find some type of legal loophole to get Rich Trapper out, right? And so in his case, because every case is different, no one is going to invest in your case like you are, right? I had a lawyer one time. I had a public lawyer. I mean, a private lawyer. This dude, his name was a black dude too. This name was Porter. What was his last name? Porter. His name was Porter, out of San Bernardino. Real famous lawyer. Grover Porter. This dude's name was Grover Porter. And this, now, when I hired him, he had reached his pinnacle. He was a well-known lawyer, real respectable lawyer out of San Bernardino. He told me at some point when he was young, he said he would take cases to trial just for his ego, just to see whether or not he could beat the cases. Of course, all those cases that he lost, he didn't have to go do the time. So nobody is going to invest in your case like you are. And then also around that same time, like I told you guys, I had two different charges. So I had two different lawyers. My first lawyer, his name was Julian Fox. Dump truck like a motherfucker. This dude was a private lawyer, right? So I'm locked up, I'm in jail. I ain't never been in this type of trouble to this magnitude. So my father hires this dude because he liked the saying in the ad, Julian Fox, slick as a fox. So my dad goes and hires this dude. Right now I'm facing 3 attempted murders. This dude, come to find out, this is his first attempted murder case ever, and his case before that, this is his second case ever. The case before that, he had a murder out of San Bernardino, and this was his second case ever, right? This motherfucker didn't know shit, even though he was a private lawyer, right? So, at this time, I'm young, I'm not necessarily verbally aggressive or whatever. So, I didn't know nothing about the law. This dude was a nerd, man. This dude was a geek looking nerdy type motherfucker. Don't look like he never had no pussy before. None of that old type of shit. He would just, he looked like this motherfucker was meant to be a lawyer. A little small, fat, pudgy motherfucker. He didn't speak up. The DA ran over him, right? So at some point in time, I'm starting to tell him, hey, man, say this, say this, say this, say that. So he's sending notes out to my dad, telling my dad that I'm bothering him. I won't let him work. My dad is, because they raided my dad's house and they found an old shotgun box. They claimed that, I had shot somebody with a shotgun. So the prosecution had called my dad in as a witness. So until my dad came in to testify, he wasn't allowed in the courthouse. So this dude is sending messages out telling my dad, I'm fucking with him. So once my dad finally get up in there, my dad said, I see this dude ain't doing shit. He wasn't asking the right questions or nothing. So I say all that to say, sometimes, yes, representing yourself is the best, because a lot of times lawyers don't invest in you as they should when your life is on the line, man. I never really understood why they said bankers and lawyers was dirty professions until I got caught up in some legal trouble myself. So it all depends. If you cannot find a good lawyer, then you might definitely want to represent yourself. Initially, when they charged me, they appointed me a public attorney. I mean, a public whatever that much shit is called, a public defender. Yeah, his name was Lawrence Fate. Come to find out, man, that dude was better. He was 10 times better than that private attorney that I hired. And due to the fact that I had two different cases, even though I hired the first lawyer, Julian Fox, Lawrence Fate would still come to my trial or pop in when he could, because he still had an investment in my second case, because initially I only hired the first lawyer for the first attempted murder thing. So he would still come in there. And he said he would tell me all the time, "Hey man, I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing. His strategy might be different from mine, but I wouldn't do this." So, like I said, man, the public defender was better than the private lawyer. So it's and by Big U facing so much, it might be best, because only you know your case like you know your case. Sometimes these other lawyers, they got different clients and they can't give your case the attention it really needs when your life is on the line.
So I do want to also throw this into the mix as well. There's this, I don't know how closely you've been following the Big U trial, but there's a part where they're looking for just on the tip of my tongue. When you can see everybody who's snitching on you. Yeah,
Oh, it's called discovery.
discovery. I don't know why I was just having a hard word with that. Yeah, he's waiting on the discovery, but the discovery is a private discovery, and they're only allowed to see it with the attorney present. So by him dismissing his attorney and representing himself, he's now playing both the attorney and inmate. So now he gets the discovery,
which is a smart move. Go ahead.
No, I was finna say, so just to give you that new piece of information, and this is just one of my theories, what better way for everybody to know who's telling on you than by you firing your lawyer? Now they got to give it to you because you're your own lawyer and you just played chess with the court system.
No, most definitely, right. And I told a story somewhat similar to that. I'm trying to remember, because when I do a story on YouTube, I just make the title up, when I'm finished with the story. But oh yeah, the name of that story was He Told Him and He Told the DA. And so I ran into a similar situation. It was a dude by the name of Bobby Johnson in Billings, Montana, where I was out there in 89, from 89 until 94, I was out there hustling, selling dope. So I meet Bobby Johnson's daughter. At the time I get out there, Bobby Johnson is locked up for a rape. They didn't gave him a rape case out there on a minor or some stuff like that. I end up meeting his daughter. He had a beautiful daughter. She was black and white, beautiful. She was in a girl's home. Some girl goes to the girl's home. She's telling her, hey, there's this new black guy from California and blah, blah, blah. So when she gets out the girl's home, his daughter, Jennifer Norris, she's in love with me and ain't seen me a day. So I go to messing with her, talking to her and this and this and that. She tells me about her father. Her father was, like I said, in jail for rape. At the time, they had his, and she's telling me, oh, he didn't do it. My dad didn't do it. They had his case on hard copy. Hard copy back then was somewhat like TMZ or something like that. So anyway, long story short, the dad ends up getting out of jail. The semen that they found in the panties did not match him. So he ends up filing an appeal. They let him out. This dude was this dude was sharp. He was like a lawyer. So they let him out on an appeals bond. So while he's out, he fucks around and he slaps a broad or whatever. So they have violated his appeals bond. They send him back now he has to go fight his case from the county jail. They happen to raid my house. I get caught up. So I go to the county jail. So anyway, I end up running across Bobby Johnson and he's doing his legal beagle thing. And he was his own lawyer, and he had anybody who had anything to do with his case. He had, like Rich Trapper was talking about, he had the discovery. He had all the information in his case. Come to find out, there was a girl by the name of Stacy Klein. She was a hoe out there. It was a white boy named Eric. Eric was from Redlands, California. Eric and his crimey picked this hoe up, and they shot her 18 or 19 times and killed her. And left her out there in the field or whatever. They end up getting caught. Eric is from Redlands. His crimey is a rich white boy from out there from Billings. So he hires the best lawyer. It was a lawyer by the name of Timer Moses. At that time, Timer, they used to call him Old Timer. Timer was in retirement, and his sons was running the firm. This damn near sound like one of the, what's that white boy that writes all them legal books and stories about legal?
James Patterson.
He had the movie A Time to Kill.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know you're talking about. You're talking about. Is that no? That's not Quentin Tarantino.
It's not. Is it Sanford? Anyway, this damn near sound like something this dude could have wrote. So this dude, he has his two sons run. Old Timer Moses has his two sons running the legal business. This dude's family was rich enough to bring Timer Moses out of retirement. Now the white dude from Redlands, California, Eric, he got a public defender. So Bobby Norris, the legal beagle, he was a black dude. Bobby Norris, he calls me to the cell one day. He said, "Hey, chill, man. Look, I just came back from court. I got some information you can use." He said, "Man, the broad that got killed, Stacy Klein." He said she went to your house and she wore a wire. She was trying to set you up. I wasn't there at the time. I had moved out and let my homie OZ live up in there. She said, "Man, she wore a wire on OZ." And he showed me the transcripts and everything, right? Because due to the fact that he was representing himself, he got anybody that had anything to do with his trial, he got the information on all them dudes, right? So fortunately, she wore a wire on OZ, a dude from Oakland who was out there named Clarence, a pimp by the name of Rufus. She wore wires on all these dudes and had bought drugs from these dudes. So had she not got killed, those dudes would have caught cases. He had all this information though. So he showed me the information, right? Long story short with him, one day I'm reading the newspaper. Like I say, I'm still in the county jail. 2 or 3 days before that, Bobby Norris had disappeared. Now, all the time Bobby Norris is going to trial, it's looking like he's supposed to beat this case. He's showing us these legal definitions. Hey, man, look, I'm supposed to get all this money every day that they have the wrongly incarcerated. You know, you got to get X amount of dollars. He's showing us all this in the legal books. So 2 or 3 days before this, he disappears. I get the newspaper, I'm reading where now all the time too, he's walking and talking with this white boy named Eric. They walking and they don't never go outside all day long. They just walk and talk all day long. They just walk and talk. Long story short, man, this white dude told Bobby Norris all this information about his case, where they hid the guns at. One day we in there watching TV, they make an announcement. The guns have been found in the murder of Stacy Klein. All this stuff this white dude is telling Bobby is going and telling the district attorney. So 2 or 3 days later, so Bobby disappears. 2 or 3 days later, I'm reading the newspaper, and at the end of the article, it says Bobby is going to be he's going to be the DA's star witness against, you know, the white dude and his crimey, because he had relayed all this information to him, man. So I called the white dude over. I said, "Hey, man, look, Bobby telling on you." I did this dude the newspaper. This dude read it. The article was long. At the end, it said, you know, he was going to testify against. No, yes, right. The article said that Bobby Norris had pled guilty to that rape. So now we like, damn, why would he plead guilty? Because now he don't get none of that money that he's talking about. And at the end, it said that he also is going to be a star witness against Eric or whatever. When Eric get to that part, that motherfucker faint. He fall flat out. Bam! That motherfucker fall flat out because he know it's through. He know he through. So Bobby testifies against Eric. Eric gets a gang of time. Him and that other dude, they get found guilty. About 6 months later, I'm out there on the street. I happened to run into his daughter, Jennifer. I said, "Hey, man, what's up with your dad?" She said, "Oh, that fucking asshole. He caught another rape. They caught this nigga in Ohio. They caught him in Ohio. A car was speeding. The police pulled the car open. They got his ass tied up in the trunk. They going to kill him. He didn't rape their little daughter or whatever." So, you know, Bobby Norris, he looked like he might have been guilty of that first case from the get-go. But I say all that to say, man, yeah. So if you represent yourself, you can have all the, you know, you can have all the everything that's in the everything that has something to do with the case. And it's a trip, right? On YouTube, somebody said, when I did that story 3 or 4 years ago, "Hey, Chill, I thought that you was lying, man." He looked that dude, Bobby Norris, up in YouTube on the computer, and sure enough, you know, all that information about that rape and all that stuff in Ohio was on the computer. His name was Bobby Norris. So yeah, it's but when you represent yourself, you get all the legal documents.
So would you say that it's probably a smarter idea for him to represent himself, considering his age, what he may or may not know about the case as far as what his own personal situation is? I would say by him taking that strategy would kind of assume that, you know, there's a message that he wants to get out to the public regards to other people's cooperation in this situation.
Right. Well, you know, considering the punishment will be so severe if he's found guilty, I don't necessarily know if it's a great thing, because you're still not going to know in that short amount of time. Bobby was studying law for about 10, 15 years. In that short amount of time, you're still not going to know everything about, you know, what you should and what you shouldn't do and stuff like that. And so, you know, you're going to work diligently and you're going to study and look into all that stuff, but you still have to have, you know, some sense of how the law works. Maybe Big U will file 3 motions when he should have filed 6 motions. So when you don't know necessarily what you're doing, you know, it's still it's still a tough situation. Now, is he not getting a lawyer because he don't have the money, or is he not getting a lawyer because he feels he can do a better job? You know, it's a deep situation. But like I said, at the end of the day, the punishment is so severe that you definitely want to make sure you know what you're doing. I've heard of situations like that sometimes where an individual will represent himself, but they still will appoint you a public defender in somewhat of a legal advisor or something like that. So, it's definitely a ugly situation.
All right, chill. Well, man, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get up out of here. It's not really too much more going on in the chat. We definitely do appreciate your time. Anything you want to give us last words? Let us know where we can find you on all social media platforms. Find your music and all that.
Yeah, man. So be sure just to check me out on YouTube, man. 16DALIFE. And I'm telling you, man, if you go back, because I've been telling stories for about 4 years. So I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as stories are concerned. But if you want to hear some good stories, riots, funny, hilarious type stories, man, go check out some of my older content. I'm telling you, it's hilarious. I do impressions. I got stories from when I was out there hustling in Montana, in Billings, Montana. It was a gang of pimps out there, a lot of real funny dudes. I got some funny stories, man. So go check that out. And I rap. A lot of motherfuckers say, especially when I told them I started rapping, oh man, we don't want to hear you rap, OG. You too old. I'm telling you, man, I get active on that mic. Go check me out. Go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down to gas stations. You will find a lot of my music there. I also got 2 songs on all the streaming sites. One is called Never Gave Me Therapy, and another one is called Rather Be a Square. I'm telling you, if you check me out, you definitely gonna be pleasantly surprised, man. So yeah, check your boy out. 16DALIFE on YouTube.
All right, man. We up out of to the next one. Y'all know the deal is Rich Trapper signing out. CNN Trap News Network. We up out of here. Chill. We appreciate your time, brother. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me.